We are officially, as of a second ago, we are live.
Oh,
so
does anybody know about this? Did we publicize?
Yes, we did post about it.
We
Patrick,
said 7 o'clock-ish, and now it's 7:30. So
exactly,
Fashionably late.
Yeah, that's okay.
Hey,
would someone like to be polite to our guests and alert them that we have not blown them off?
Somebody like to be polite to her. No. Jerk.
Maybe we only haven't recorded a show in 6 weeks. No, none of you can be here. Sorry.
Okay, that's a wrap.
There we go. Congratulations, everybody. I haven't even hit the record button yet.
Like, this cluster is your idea, so why don't you go ahead and take it?
Oh yeah, blame me.
Oh yeah. Oh boy, it's gonna be one of those shows tonight, I think.
Are you recording yet?
Yeah, I believe it. Well, it's showing me that it's recording, so I'm going to assume that it's recording.
Josh,
I will be quiet now.
You should see the icon, buddy.
Why?
Which?
The YouTube icon is priceless.
Why?
It's you.
Oh no.
Oh really?
I gotta YouTube this. How do I find that? I guess I get it.
Yeah, Mike, go ahead and get us started before we completely lose this train.
Here we go, guys. Welcome to the Flight Test Community Podcast, episode number 10. Sorry we
made
have
it!
been gone for so long, but we finally got to double digits.
We made
And
it!
of course, yes,
Made it
absolutely. And besides Mr. Joel Cannon and Patrick Sean Murphy, we have a couple of special guests this evening. First one is Joshua Orchard. And everybody say happy birthday to Joshua Orchard, by the way.
Happy birthday,
Happy birthday!
That's right. Music to my ears.
And we also have a very special guest from the Flight Test After Hours podcast, Mr. Andre Rousseau.
Good evening.
This is an international podcast.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
And the second one he's been on today as well, to top it all off.
Well, if you can call this a podcast, I don't know. I'm sure we don't measure up to the professionalism of the After Hours crew.
Oh,
No,
I think you have to listen to this last one. It was good. We had fun, but I would never call us professional.
wouldn't call this professional by any means.
Hey, you have parchment
by-
paper over your lights. That's
Yeah.
professional in my book.
More so than the rest of us. I have one of my floor lamps shining at me to get enough light to this camera right here. Oh, boy. Anyway, how's everybody doing?
Fantastic.
It's been way too long, and I have missed this. It's really good to get talking to everybody again. I think, well, updates aside, I think it goes without saying to say we've all been very busy with things going on in our lives, and thank you, everyone, for being so patient with all of us.
Do you think they noticed?
I think they did. I know a lot of people have been messaging.
I think we had one message on our page that said, "Where you guys been?"
I
That
know
was my mom.
I know through the Facebook chat we definitely got a couple of messages. Are you guys recording this week? Are you guys recording? I know Josh definitely was asking that question a good number of times.
I
Yeah.
asked a couple times.
Well, thanks for
There you
making
go.
us feel like we matter.
We do, apparently. I don't know why, but we do.
Patrick, you always matter to me.
Josh, you completely.
Oh,
Just wait till I introduce you at Flight Fest.
Oh, I have an intro. Oh, I feel special now.
We'll talk about that a little later in the show when we get to Flight Fest.
Oh, I think so.
That's in my show notes.
And by the way, you requested this title too, Patrick.
Wait, he has a special title?
Ooh,
Yeah, he requested it too.
I like it.
You probably already forgot about
I
it. so.
completely forgot about that.
oh, this is going to make it even better now.
All right,
You
so
could be
let's
surprised.
we'll leave the suspense there, and we'll move on to updates, and we'll go to Flight Fest from there, and then he'll be introduced. How about that?
That
like
sounds beautiful. Okay, good plan. Not that we ever have a plan on this show. Ever.
Yeah.
It's better when we don't.
Who's up? It ain't me. Someone go ahead,
What are we
please.
going to talk about now?
Updates? Someone?
Hang on, I'm trying to turn off my thing.
Well, it was my birthday, so I could talk about what I got for my birthday.
Well, we would love to hear what you got.
My wife bought me a new charger. It's one of the Turnigy reactors, but it's the 2-channel one. It's a 2x300 watt, up to 20 amps. So
Wow.
now I can charge 2 of my big batteries for my big planes like at the same time.
Yeah.
And I ordered 2 3S 5800 batteries, so I can wire those in series for 6S for my P6E Hawk, which weighs about 14 pounds. So I moved it from a 4S setup to a 6S setup.
Nice.
And now I can charge both of those huge batteries at the same time, and I can get around 10 minutes of flying time now.
Sweet.
Nice.
And I should be able to fly the Sikorsky batteries. I should be able to charge those in about 30 minutes now with the new charger, so that'll be good. More flight time at Flight Fest on the Sikorsky.
What kind of power supply do you have to run for that, Joshua?
I have a server power supply, just one of those cheap, like $25 ones from eBay. It's 1,000 watt, and I just wired it up so I plug it in and it's on.
Sweet.
And, it's simple, cheap.
Yep.
Nice thing about the new charger, though, is it's got a built-in hot wire feature, so I can hook up the wire leads to the charger itself and push a button, and it'll send a current through my hot wire, and I can hot wire the phone that I'm using straight from the charger.
Oh, and the charger will take the load.
Yep.
I assume that you can control the voltage or the current
Yes,
going.
you can.
Okay.
You can control the current. You can control the amount of amps, and you can control the voltage. So you can control how much power goes through, and it has a timer on it. You can set the timer too. So say you want 2 minutes, but if you set it at 0 minutes, it's just an on and off. You press a button and it's on. Use it, and then hit the button so it's off. So it's really safe too.
Nice.
The charger also has a built-in ohm check feature, so it checks the internal resistance of your cells. It's really interesting because I took these 2 brand new batteries that I have, and their internal resistance is around 6 or 7 milliohms. Took this old Zippy compact that I have. Oh my gosh, man! They're like 36 milliohms. They're just crazy. I'm like, man, this battery's about to explode.
Yeah.
But it's a really nice charger. It was let's see, I think it's $120 Hobby King.
Yeah.
Totally worth it. Totally worth it.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Please share a link so we can post it in the show notes.
Sure, I'll send it to you.
And one quick thing. Sorry to sidebar for a second, but it occurred to me that we didn't post show notes for episode 9. So
Well,
I
Patrick,
apologize.
Yeah,
That's my
look in your
fault.
Google,
Yeah.
Your Google Notes. Or your
I
sharing.
I need to share those. So this is on me, guys. I'm sorry.
I don't even remember episode 9.
1000. You don't remember your singing?
Oh, that's right. Oh,
There you go.
that was
anyway,
about
sorry.
3 months ago.
Sorry. So look for show notes episode 9 and episode 10 coming to you very soon on the Flight Test page. And back to Josh.
Okay, so back to me. So the other thing that I've been up to, obviously, is the Gotha.
Yes.
So
Explain.
if you haven't heard about the Gotha, it really just started as like this fun prototype thing that I talked about last time I was on the podcast.
I've got to
And-
see this.
It's right here. Part of it. Oh, see the bomb?
So pretty.
Oh,
So
man.
the really cool thing is
pretty.
Steve Rosema from the forum. He's a graphic artist. That's what he does for his job. And I sent him this vector file with a lozenge pattern and said, hey, can you do big files for these? Because I got this big printer and I want to try to print these out. And we tried doing tissue paper with it. It just wasn't working out. So I just got some craft paper, printed off on the craft paper, and sprayed some Super 77 on it and applied it straight to the parts before I fold it. Works beautiful, just beautiful. Anyway, so this started, I was like, okay, so I'd like to have, if I'm going to bring this thing to Flight Fest, I'd like to have like a fighter escort. So Dan Sponholtz, I knew that he had like a scaled down version of the Bloody Baron, called it the Baby Baron. I was like, okay, well that's roughly 1/12 scale, which is what the Gotha is at 77.5-inch wingspan. I was like, okay, so can you put together like a baby Baron to like fly fighter escort? And it's just escalated. Like seriously, in the past 3 weeks, this has gone from like this 2-plane thing to now we have the Baby Baron Gotha gaggle thread going on in the flight test forum, where you can jump in and participate and build either a Baby Baron or a Baby Brit. Is that what it's called, Patrick?
Yeah.
It's
I've
the
heard. I have
brand new.
no idea
Yeah.
what that is.
Yeah,
Yep, it's amazing. I'm gonna pipe in for a hot second because the Baby Brit is phenomenal. By the way, big shout out, Dan. I love the name. Thank you for naming something after me. I really appreciate it.
I'm sure he had you in mind.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it. But this plane, it's so beautiful. Imagine a Baby Baron, which has these beautiful. What do they call those divots in the wings?
Scallops.
Scallops. Thank you.
Scallop trailing edge. Yeah.
So the Baby Brit does not have those. It's exactly the same wing, but it's flat, and it has the little bit of tapering in the same way that the Sopwith Pup has on its wings. And what he did, he kind of emulated the Sopwith Pup tail, and that became the tail feathers for the Baby Brit. And the idea is this guy Rasterize on the forum?
Yeah, Rasterize.
and-
Stephen Rosenberg.
Yeah,
Stephen Rosenberg. I didn't know his real name. Stephen,
Yeah, Stephen.
you are a talented guy. Dude, you have literally inspired hundreds of people. So, due to this inspiration, I think everyone wanted to just pipe in with what scheme that they're flying, and now there's competitions of like who's flying which scheme, and there are different schemes that everyone's kind of doing, and he's
Mike
like
stole my
doing
scheme.
You're
Mike.
doing green, Pat.
Mike.
Yeah. I
What
had a
have we
illusion.
told you about stealing other people's ideas?
Just because you found
Well,
it
I stole
first.
his idea before he found it, and now he thinks I've stolen his idea. So here's to you, Pat.
We love you both.
Right back at you,
Yes.
brother.
Anyway, back to the chaos.
Yeah, so apparently now we're flying this dawn patrol thing, and it was just fly it in the morning like 8 o'clock before we even have the pilot briefing or anything, just to wake people up. And
A bunch of electric airplanes flying over there.
well, wait till you hear the Gotha, okay? It's a pusher, but it's got 2 wings that the props are beaten against, so it kind of does sound like a bomber. It's a unique sound.
Get some serrated props.
Bend a prop.
Uh,
That'll make some
So
Yeah.
Dan reached out and he reported to Josh Bixler, and Josh Bixler's like, "Okay, I'm doing this." So now
We coerced Josh
in it.
Bixler
Oh,
into something
boy.
else.
and now Dan Cruz is in it. I mean, you got all the big names. This is going to be like a who's who of Flight Fest and flight test community. It's going to be a hoot and a half, and I'm just tickled because really it just started out as this very simple, humble idea, and I couldn't be more happy that it's turned into such a big community thing.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, it will. It will
I
be
think it's
very
fantastic.
So
Kudos to you, Josh.
here's what I need to know, because I don't have time to read the forum or anything, which I'm sure all this information is there.
Yeah.
So I submitted my desired scheme. Now what happens?
So Stephen has put you in line to do a custom scheme for you. And when he's done, he'll post it. He'll probably send you like a private message or something, how to email it to you so that you can print it off and then build, whether you're doing a Brit or a Baron. I can't remember what you signed up to do, Pat. But yeah, that's
Okay.
so that's the steps you take, and then you got to build it before Flight Fest.
Right.
And pray that it makes it to Flight Fest.
Yep.
So,
And it
which
doesn't get fun.
I'm hopeful for the Gotha, but we'll see.
But we've skipped a part here. So then I'll print them out and slap them on my airplane.
Yeah,
Yes.
so you print it off on just standard paper. I've printed off on inkjet paper or inkjet printer. I also have the Mini Mustang. Steven also did a job for the Mini Mustang. He's done 3 of them, I think, for the Mini Mustang.
Mhm.
And I printed that on laser, and that turned out just as fine as well. But you just peel the paper off of the foam, and then you spray both sides with spray glue, and you slap them together, and then from there you fold it and you assemble it.
Okay.
But you just have to be really careful with your placement on the
To
parts.
line it up.
Are you guys putting any kind of coat over top of that paper afterwards?
So with the laser print that I have for my Mini Mustang, I did not put a covering, and I have flown this thing through snow and mud and nice days and windy days, like 25 miles an hour, and the paper is just sticking and holding like you would not believe, and I have not coated it all. It looks perfect. There's a couple scratches on the bottom from landings, but it's fine.
Nice.
Super 77, good adhesive.
Yes. Super 77.
Yes.
And you let that air out for a little bit, otherwise the acetone is going to eat the foam.
Yeah. You let it kind of get tacky, almost
Yeah.
dry first. It's
Yeah.
kind of like contact cement in a way.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then for the Gotha, since I printed that on inkjet, I decided to use sanding sealer over top. Just because it's inkjet, the ink's going to run. Mike, you can chime in here all about inkjet inks. But I didn't want the ink to run because I knew it was going to probably be wet, whether it's morning dew or a rainstorm at Flight Fest.
Yeah.
But yeah, it stiffens it up a little bit more. It protects the finish, and it looks incredible. And it also brings out the colors more. There's a contrast difference. That
Did you use water-based or oil-based for that?
I use
The HP's all water-based.
yeah. So mine is an Epson. I believe that's an oil-based. A water-based ink.
Yeah, it's water-based.
So what I used is just sanding Minwax sanding sealer professional formula. Comes in.
Do that again. That was very.
Yeah, that was.
Very radio-esque. I'm impressed. We need
I'm
to get
guessing
Josh on the podcast more often.
Well, I'm saying
He is a professional.
professional whatever. So.
I was going to let everybody else fill in what the professional part was.
Just staying out of it.
Stands on street corners a lot.
I'll continue with my beverage.
So the reason I went with sanding sealer over polyacrylic is it's actually cheaper by quite a bit. That a quart of it I picked up at Home Depot for like $7.50, $8. It was really cheap.
That's really good.
And it dries faster than polyacrylic, and I haven't looked back. I love it. I've used it with glass. I've used it with this paper. So it's very versatile. Pick some up and have a go.
I like it.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Fun. What? Anything other flying? Anything else to report?
I haven't gotten out to really fly anything. I did take the Sikorsky out for 3 sorties last Sunday, and
You're actually
Sorties.
naming them sortie. I love it.
I'll call them flights. I fly scale, man.
Wow, that's awesome. I love it.
So, other than that, just get out to the field when I can. I got a club meeting this week, so we'll see, but the weather's not looking great. Just been cooped up and loving my new workshop in the basement, building the Gotha right now.
Fantastic. Can I just pause for a moment and say thank you very much, Eddie, for your wonderful comment. Hey, winners. Smiley face. Eddie Black, you are a dog. At least we have one fan, right?
What a doll. What a marvelous doll.
What a doll. I love it. Now I know you grew up with a New York mom. That's how.
That's right.
Love
That's
it. What a doll. So good.
We did get there's like somebody, Low Elevation RC. Somebody's
Yes,
looking at us.
we do. Zippy
compacts
compacts
that are known to be utter crap.
Utter crap. True story. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
I have a zippy
Good stuff.
compact story from this weekend.
Oh, do
I
it!
was gonna
Go,
say,
go,
alright,
go!
Andre's turn.
Andre,
So,
Yeah.
go!
first of all,
Did-
can I
did-
just say, Andre, thank you
Hello.
for coming on board.
No problem. No
Thank you for
problem.
joining
My
us.
pleasure, guys. I want to come on.
Well, he's
Second.
about winded. He's been talking so much.
I know, really.
It's been quite the day, but yeah, I wanted to get on there. I missed I felt bad because I had to bail on Ben there the other week when you guys were doing the build night. I wasn't up to it, and so I've been wanting to get onto a show and talk and everything. But so, did anybody see the video I posted of the albatross almost not making it into the air?
Yes. I did. Yeah.
I had a good giggle.
That was terrifying but awesome all at the same time. So basically, it wouldn't have made it in the air except for that little hop it took, and I'm firewalling it going, oh boy, and I made it over top of the log, and then I'm like, I gotta dive or I'm in the stall. And I turned, and I wish I had an onboard camera, but the guys in the parking lot said I must have been within a couple centimeters of the lamppost, and it just zzzz. I'm like, oh, that poor plane.
Yeah,
You like to make a... Oh, sorry, Mike.
No, it was pretty hairy.
It was, but I got it now. What we've determined is I think a lot of my older Zippy compacts are starting to expire, and we think that battery was because I was flying it, and I'm like, there's something, and the Albatross, the prop goes on backwards, like the numbers to the back and everything, and I'm flying the thing going, okay, it's handling okay, but I'm just lacking the power, so I'll go through and do a couple things, but Chris has actually ordered a couple struts for me because you can't get those things in Canada for the wing struts because they were damaged after the last flight, so so that one's grounded until I come home with some struts because the shipping from Amazon to Canada was silly, so Chris picked up a set or two for me, so I'll have that airplane back up, but it does fly, and it is gracefully beautiful. I'm thoroughly in love with how well it flies.
Isn't there just something awesome about watching a World War I bird fly?
Yeah,
It's so addictively gorgeous to watch fly.
It is just, and you're sitting there, and I've got to work on my coordinated turns with it, but I only got a couple laps with it. But it was just, I went by a couple times and just slowed it right down, and just, oh yeah.
I putzed it around.
Andre, I've noticed in a couple of videos now that you like to make right-hand turns when you take off. Like, sharp right.
It depends on where I'm flying in the winds conditions too. But let's see, what was the last one then? What's the
Albatross.
Oh well, yeah. There was. It took a hop. The wind was really the wind was really weird and gusty, and that's why it turned. And when it hit the side of the turf and jumped in the air, I'm like, well, I'm committed. And I went and I powered up and expecting some horsepower out of the back, and it just kind of went, yeah. I'm like, uh-oh. But it flew fine after that. It took me a couple clean takeoffs, and then like the landings were all beautiful. And it's one of those airplanes, and I was really concerned with the lack of power. But like I said, I suspect it's the battery, so I've gone, and as soon as I have an issue with any of those batteries, I put a piece of tape on it, write what I'm suspecting, and so that's where I was jealous, Joshua, because I don't have a charger that I can really test the internal resistance and let me know.
Yeah, being able to nerd out like that on some of the things, it's not therapeutic,
but it's pretty.
But it can
cool.
be helpful if you're trying to troubleshoot.
Well, and it's funny because a lot of those Zippy compact batteries that I purchased early on when I got into the hobby, it was, how can I balance my budget because I was doing the vintage car racing and I was doing the RC thing. Sure. Well, full circle now because the vintage car thing went away after a sudden deceleration and concrete wall. So I'm now at the point where like things like those A-spec batteries that I fly with in a majority of my other planes now, I've only got 4 or 5 of those. And those 3 S2200s with 65C, and they're beautiful batteries, and they can take the punishment, and they're withstanding. So I'm at the point now where when I look at a battery, I really judge them on the merit. Okay, yeah, the Zippy's like $10, but this other battery is maybe a few dollars more, but this other battery is going to survive and deal with the climates that I deal with too. With it's like -30 in the winter, then +30 in the summer Celsius.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, I mean, there really is a certain element to you get what you pay for, and you know, for some people they prefer the cheap batteries because it's like, just throw it away. I really don't care.
Yeah.
And again, for you, if you're willing to pay a little bit more and have it last a little bit longer, that's fine too.
And I've now come to I'm very quickly approaching my 3rd year of solid flying, and I've come to the realization that if I need a specific pack for a specific vehicle, 5 or 6 packs is a magic number, because if I actually make it to the field and I fly the same plane consecutively for 5 times in one day, I've had an awesome day. Because otherwise it's usually get out, I got 2 hours, let's go, and I very rarely have a full flying day, so.
Do either of you guys have any of the new graphene packs from Hobby King at all?
Not yet.
They don't make them big enough for me.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. That sounds like a personal problem.
No, they really don't. I don't even have a 2200 3-cell in my arsenal.
Wow. Yeah, that's true.
What?
No.
That's the biggest pack that I have.
The biggest pack I have is a 5,000 milliamp hour 6-cell.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's funny though, because I was so anti, no 4S, and I'm slowly going 4S on everything, like and quads and the Warbirds, the fleet of Warbirds.
And the smallest battery that I really have now are these little. I have 1,300 3-cells for the Gotha.
Yeah.
For the Gotha, because it's all based around flight test motors. But other than this, I have my little tiny chiclet batteries for my DLG, and then from there I've got a 4-cell 2800. And 3-cell 4,000, and I just don't.
1,300s? Huh? What?
Oh no!
See, I think that can fly again.
How did I know that thing was going to make it an appearance in this show?
Oh, you know what? It's the story behind this. I mean, okay, outside of the crash and me giggling.
You have to describe it, because remember, people are going to listen to this, not just watch it.
All right, 1, check out my social media because you'll see it. It's hilarious. But basically,
let's plug much.
Okay.
Hashtag Andre Rousseau.
Yeah, I love my social media stuff. You know this. Now, I adore the Arrow. Like Josh Bixler, whenever I have a chance to thank him, I do, because 2015, I flew 0 fixed-wing FPV. 0. Because it was always such a production to get the plane right, get the people, have a spotter. You basically don't need a spotter with an Arrow. I'm not saying you need a spotter. I'm just saying you can throw it with your goggles and go. And I've been flying since this thing came out, and one landed on my doorstep. I've been flying this thing hard and as often as I can. I mean, it's just
obviously you've been flying it hard.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is a Duro. Okay, this is the first pilot error on me I've had in a long time. It's
first
been good.
Pilot
Well,
error?
the only one you'll admit to, right?
Oh,
Thank you very much, Mike.
I'll have the occasional mechanical and technical, but I haven't flown an aircraft, into the dirt in a while. So
Occasional.
Oh yeah.
Occasional.
For those of you who do not have the benefit of seeing this particular podcast, Andre has a flight test Arrow in front of him that he has bisected. It is 2 parts.
It's broken
I
up too.
would call it bifurcated.
Bifurcated. I
And
like that.
Bifurcated.
There's even
Yes.
a 3D printed hard cage, that allows me to run a 1300 in there. That's shattered.
If you can imagine the cross between model airplanes and a horror show, this would be the weapon that you would use to kill someone in that movie.
But
It looks like an axe.
But the best part is, I'll slap some hot glue on it and put it back together. So
Of
basically,
course you would.
You won't let anything die.
no, I don't, because it doesn't. Ryan, Crash Recovery despises my mentality for keeping these things going. I mean, I still got the FT Racer in the back.
I think that thing can fly again, Andre. I want to see that thing in the air at Flight Fest.
It will.
I
If
seriously.
you bring it to Flight Fest, I will find some acetone for that film.
Josh, whenever you do that, I'm coming with you. Because I'll. How about this? I'll bring the lighter, you bring the acetone, we'll have a bonfire.
And I'll just fly it while it's on fire.
I just wanted to melt the foam. I didn't want to set it on fire.
I want to
but that
burn
brings
it.
to a new level.
No, because if you burn the acetate, the foam, the paper is still going to be there. You got to get rid of the paper too.
No evidence.
I was at my dad's place, and he was like, "Oh yeah, like that FT Mustang that you gave me in August. It's been through winter. It's had a few crashes and all this. I'm retiring it. And I built a new one, and I'm looking at it going, you're doing what to it?" He says, "I'm going to retire it." And I'm like, "Give that to me." So it's ready to go. I put a new power pod in, fixed it up, re-glued all
Must
the
be genetic.
Oh, it's I don't have. Hey, this was my first flight test scratch build from start to from start to finish. Very first one that I ever had, like open it, cut the package open, and go. And like I said, I fully credit Josh Bixler, for getting me back in FPV flying. So, the story behind this guy was literally, it was 10 seconds long. 10-second flight. I threw it in the air, I turned right, and I zipped around, and I'm coming over, and for whatever reason, I just didn't pull up. I happened to be flying FPV, and I had my run cam on my goggles to capture my audio, and apparently, I tracked the airplane, and you can see it bounce off the deck. And I'm looking at this footage. I come home, and James is like, my son's like, "What did you do to the arrow?" I'm like, whatever. So we look at the footage, and the onboard footage is it turns and just goes, whoop, and the footage goes black. I'm like, awesome. And I didn't even realize I had the onboard, my hat cam footage. And we're watching it, and it's like, oh, this is so cool. So I start cutting together the video, and I find like the saddest music I could find for the release, And I took 10 seconds of total footage, maybe 20 with the 2 clips, right? And stretched it out to a minute. And it's just, but the bounce was just, the internet went nuts about the bounce, because this thing hit the ground and went, quick, and just shattered. And then my reaction audio was like, oh, I've done some damage. Oh.
I want to take a moment, and I want to just let it sink in that Andre is admitting that he crashed an airplane.
Oh yeah.
And I'd like to also I'd like to play Celine Dion's "My Heart Will Go On" just for you. It's okay, Andre.
Hey, Ryan Crash Recovery has been asking this question, and then Low Elevation RC is following up. Apparently, we're getting bantered by these guys. Are you registered with the FAA? And I assume they're not asking this of Andre.
Well, you know what? We've actually another Canadian came back and asked me, Jason Erbrink asked me about this. It was a query, and I've actually fired over a shot to Austin about this regarding Flight Fest, because apparently the rules are changing. And as a Canadian, I need someone to sponsor me, and because if a Canadian address, you go in there and they're Amazon, because they run through Amazon Cloud, they say, oh, sorry, Canadian address, you can't subscribe. So I'm gonna drop $5 on Chris Rod Cagaglione from the After Hours crew, and I says, yeah, get me my number, put me. So basically, he'll say Andre Russo at Chris's address, and I'll get my FAA number so I can slap him on my plane. So.
Huh.
So, but yes, I will get one if required. If not, I'll just steal Chris's number, and then I'll do something really crazy so he's get pinned.
Yeah, well,
you don't want Eddie Black said he'll sponsor you. You don't want that, Andre. You don't.
Well,
want
it's I'm not even concerned about it, because I have my Mac, which is the equivalent of your
AMA, isn't it?
AMA, thank you. Yeah, and so I'm quite whatever. It is no difference. It's not going to affect how I fly at Flight Fest.
No.
I'm just kind of curious at the border if they're going to go, are you registered? But I can't see the Border Patrol and the FAA getting along anyhow, right?
No.
So
No, quite.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
Well,
So where were we? What were we talking about? What do you want to talk about? What do you want to know?
Updates. Well, it's updates from here. So I think next is actually this guy, Patrick.
Hey, that's me.
Back to the hosts.
I've been up to quite a bit lately. A couple weeks ago, I had this flurry of productivity in the RC world. Behind me is my Grand Esprit as it sits today. She's come a long way. It's going back together. It really is close to being done. The only thing that I really need to work out is the high start attachment below on the belly. That whole assembly was missing when I got the airplane, so I'm hoping to get some documentation or just be clever about working that out. And I think it's coming out beautifully.
Patrick, I for one am very impressed with your progress on that project. You've really done an incredible job, and that airplane is really stunning.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, hat off to you.
Not coming from you, dude.
No,
That's
not
a
at
beautiful
all.
airplane.
No, it really is a stunning airplane. You've done a
And
lot with it.
I don't mean this in any kind of derogatory or mean way whatsoever, Pat, but your covering skills, you need to teach me a thing or two, because I have a balsa plane upstairs that I'm going to want to cover before Flight Fest. So you and I need to have a covering tutorial 101 one of these days.
First, don't use monocoat. That's my suggestion. Go with Ultra Coat. Ultra Coat goes on so much more nicely than monocoat in my experience. It's not that difficult, and I'm not very good at it, but I'm getting better every time I do it. And I've started using a heat gun along with it instead of just the covering iron, and the heat gun really just shrinks everything up really quickly and nice.
Takes those wrinkles right out.
It does. It's like magic.
I was going to say, Mike, the planes that you fly, any of them ultracoat or monocoat covered at all?
Yeah, my AJ Schlick Edge 540, and then the Seagull Edge 540 as well.
Okay, good deal. I wasn't. That's why, because I honestly didn't know.
Yeah.
Perfect. Good deal.
Yeah, my P6E Hawk is monocoat, and I believe my A26 Texan is also monocoat.
Yep.
Andre, have you got any monocoat aircraft?
I don't. I used to. My very first airplane was an LT-40. SIG LT-40, and so I've got the iron still, and I use that for stuff. But no, I don't have a monocoat plane anymore. I gave that plane, actually, ironically enough, I gave it to a friend just before I got into electric, and it still flies occasionally. So everything right now is foam or EPP with a coating or laminate over top of it. Or flight test foam board. So.
Well, my AJ Schlick's electric, but yet it's a balsa and monocoat covered.
Yep.
Where I fly, unless I go out to the...
Patrick's leaving in the middle of his update.
He ran away. If I want to fly something like a balsa plane, I can't fly out of the little park where I am. So we almost stick with the foam or the paper or whatever.
Got it. Okay.
Well, that place that you flew the Albatross, that's plenty big enough for that 51-inch AJ Schlick I had.
Well, but it's a public park, and so the agreement we have is basically we stick with electric and foam and the multi-rotors. Right now it's quiet, but we're kind of concerned because there's 3 new soccer fields next door, so we don't.
Yeah, got it.
So.
Now I do have an airplane that's covered with Solar Tex, and that is probably the best covering material I've ever worked with, but it is also the heaviest material you can possibly pick to cover something. But it's really great stuff.
Is that the stuff that's like fabric?
Yeah. Okay. It looks like it has a weave into it, but the way that it stretches and irons on, it's just beautiful stuff, but it's super heavy.
Keith Brown and Jason Irving both say good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening to both of them. And so, Patrick, I saw you brought over an orange and white covered plane right there. What exactly is that?
This is a Midwest Cessna Cardinal 177 from the mid-'70s that I'm currently converting to electric. I got it. It had a nitro motor on the nose.
I see that.
3-channel. I have cut the ailerons out and sunk servos into the wing. But this was one of the early foamy ARFs. And I don't know what kind of foam this is made out of, but this stuff is super dense and strong as all get out. it's covered in I don't know what it's covered in. I assume like a monocoat or something like that. So it's kind of hokey looking. But the guy that built this did a real nice job on it. You know, I can only assume like he had to hand cut all the trim and all the pinstriping and all that stuff.
That's great.
Yeah. So this is going to be flying soon, and I'm excited for that. I've got my little my behind me, the green and yellow Livewire Champion. I've been flying that on an electric motor, and it's just an absolute sweetheart to fly in the air. Fun plane.
Yeah, I saw the update you posted. That thing really sails really nicely.
Yep.
Just
it's
beautiful
a nice
slow fly.
Yep. So that's what I've been up to. I think I've been doing something else too, but I can't remember what it is.
Swirl.
This is too many.
Squirrel moment. Yep, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yes.
Mikey, what have you been up to, my friend?
Well, I haven't been up to much because, of course, living out here in Kansas, the wind blows like all the time, and in the last 2 months, it has done nothing but blow. I'm thinking 25 to 35 mostly.
Oh,
So
wow.
I haven't been doing much, but I did. Give me just a second. I did order some new dowel props.
Ooh,
Good for the people
look at
that can't
those.
see. I have some 3 blades, and I also bought some 2 blades. And I actually put a set of the 3 blades on my Nighthawk. And the only thing I've got to do is hover it in the garage, but I'm going to tell you what, I almost stuck it in the ceiling. Because, I mean, when it came off the ground, it came off the ground. So
That's excellent.
I'm going to have to keep an eye on that for a little while. But other than that, nothing really at all. I actually charged a bunch of batteries and charged my EX9 and got all ready to go Saturday, and then got up and the wind was blowing like 25 miles an hour. So I put all the batteries back on the charger and put them back into storage mode and sat around and did a whole lot of nothing.
And yeah, and he's been kind of grumpy about it too.
I've been real grumpy about it. I'm going to get
I don't
grumpy
blame him.
if I don't fly soon. I'm going to start burning airplanes.
Yeah, I feel for you, something real good, Mike, because I know you've been hurting real bad with not flying at all this season. So,
well, it either rains or it wind blows. It's one or the other, and there's no in between.
yep, no, absolutely. Andre, I couldn't help but notice you dragging a gigantic airplane into the shot as well.
Well, you guys were talking about gliding and stuff, right? So I had to show off this thing. So
Oh yeah, of course you did.
Yeah.
I have to say, it's a really interesting looking airplane.
And I'm slowly coming to terms with it, because the first time I flew it, it terrified me. So, it does like a nice big battery in it. And so I flew this, the first time I flew it, I had a Zippy Compact in it, and it was tail heavy and severely underpowered. And the first footage, I actually rolled it in flight, and it was just, I'm like, oh my goodness, and it was terrifying. Tuesday this week, I threw in one of my bigger packs, the A-Specs, and it was handling great, but it was crazy windy. Like running the EDF, I got about 3 minutes or so on the battery pack. It was like just bombing around, but I was like, okay, I can handle this thing, I can fly it. And then on the weekend, Saturday, I took it up, and for the first time, I was able to, very much like the Radian, get it up to altitude, cut the motor, and I glided around and got some good, consistent gliding with it. So I'm looking forward to. I'm going to bring it to Ohio in May when I go up, and we're going to tow with the Tundras. And so I've got, with the after-hour crew, I'll have the Tundra, and we'll have this one and the Radians, of course. And so the next thing I need to do with it is I do need to add some color, because all it's got is those little red stripes. Hold on, get closer to the camera. And so I need some black on the tips and stuff, because when I got up really high, I was like, eh. But what's really cool is it fits in the car.
Oh,
Without
nice.
taking the wings off, right? So you drop the seat, and because the fuselage is under 40 inches, so I just basically shove it in the car and go.
Cool.
Well, I would highly recommend you use some yellow because I have 4 planes with yellow now, and you never lose a plane that has yellow on it.
It's the best color. In my
Like if you look at any of my scratch builds, 9 times out of 10, I do yellow and black patterns because that is what works for me visually. Reds are terrible for me. So I do tend to put the black and stripes of the red or sort of the yellows, and that just seems to work. But it's been an interesting experience. Again, this ties over from my the Hobby King release there of the Tundra, and so Stuart came back and said, "Are you interested in testing this one out for us and seeing what you think?" And it's like I said, it's been a growing experience for me because every time I do something, I'm trying to push my video ends of it and everything, and the podcast stuff and just the ongoing efforts. So, yeah.
Yeah, that.
Woo.
Hey, Darth Vader's back.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that only took, what, 40 minutes?
That's really entertaining.
Hey, say I find your lack of faith disturbing. Come on.
I can't even say it.
Oh, derailed the whole thing.
Yep,
Yep, no, totally. Every
we're
time.
in.
Every time. And I have edit marked it. Oh,
Yep,
boy.
it's about an hour in every time.
Every time without fail. Just because I'm going to cut this part of the
You're
show
back.
out. Oh, I'm back. Oh, never mind.
Back, you're good.
I was going to say, for those of you who are in the host-only chat, please check your Facebook and give our sincere grievance to Fred Provost.
Yeah, Fred.
What, did he die?
No, something did, apparently. And he's clearing up the mess. So, Fred, we are very sorry that you cannot make it with us this evening, and we wish you were here, my friend.
Fred, if it makes you feel any better, I'm playing with a piece of lead. I'm going to give myself lead poisoning just for you, buddy.
Ooh, I have one too. Look at that.
Nice! We're lead buddies now.
Just have a nicely piece of
Lead Brothers.
just have boring old Velcro here.
Oh my! What?
But I
It is
have-
boring.
But I have beverage, so it's okay.
Hey, cheers.
Cheers, indeed. Actually, for those of you who are watching the live stream, I am enjoying a delicious Belhaven Scottish ale. So if anyone is into their European ales, Scotties, Belhaven does the best in the entire world, no questions asked. And they do a particularly good wee heavy as well. So I'm enjoying some Belhaven. But yeah, so I think, is it my turn?
Yeah, go.
I believe it.
Okay.
And I know you got some exciting stuff too.
All right. Well, so first of all, I have to say a big thank you to everyone for your extraordinary patience. My family, my wife and I, and the fur children, wherever they may be, we've been rather busy with a lot of stuff going on, and I really appreciate everybody being so patient. The reason the podcast has been on hold has a lot to do with me. So thank you all for being so patient and so willing to sit with us through the little bit of a hiatus that we've had over the last couple of episodes. We will be ramping up that to at least, I would say, at least once a month minimum. And we definitely will be doing a show more regularly. So thank you all for being so patient. Yeah, the last 6 weeks has been a roller coaster for me. I have been trying to figure out what all I'm doing for Flight Fest. I came to the conclusion that I wanted to do the Bloody Ripper. I wanted to do the what was the Reliant that I was going to do. I was going to do, like, I had so many projects on my plate, and I realized none of this is going to get done before Flight Fest. I need to really pare down what I'm going to do and focus in on a couple of really core projects. And so my buddy Tim Michael, also known as the RC Newbie, him and I have been...
RC Newbie.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone, if you haven't followed him already, please go on his YouTube channel, like and subscribe. He does phenomenal content about multi-rotors and his experience in breaking in. He's a phenomenal guy. He is going to be on the show. He said he will be a guest host with us, so he will be on with us very shortly. So, Tim, here's to you, buddy. We really look forward to having you on. It's actually, coincidentally, Josh, it's his birthday this week as well, so happy birthday, Tim.
Happy birthday, Tim.
Well, happy birthday, Tim.
And thank you, guys.
Happy birthday.
Oh, God, he's singing again. So, him and I... Yeah, really. We've been collaborating on some projects, and we did a build night with my HMB where I had switched out some ESCs while he was doing a couple of bits and pieces on his Eachine, converting that over to the Totem. So we did that build night together, and then we followed up, and this video has not been released yet, so I'm kind of jumping ahead. But we just finished... Well, we finished recording it a couple of weeks back, but he's working on editing it up. But we just finished a simul build of the MRM 180. And let me just say, the MRM is multi-rotor mania, and it is a clone of the ZMR. So it is a cloned 180 of the ZMR. It is a beautiful little quad. I love mine. I had some issues with the flight controller during the video, so I have not made mine. However, he has, and I love the way this thing flies. He went for a little bit more of a heavy build. I went more on the light side of the build. Mine's tipping out at just over 270 grams, so it doesn't quite fit the FAA requirement like I was hoping, but it should allow me to do a lot of the acro flying that I really want to get into. I've been playing a lot with liftoff to really hone my skills, so a lot of content from me recently has been coming through from multi-rotors, which I'm really excited that I'm going to be doing more with the multi-rotor stuff. From the fixed... Yeah, really. I know his feelings on multis, so I'm gonna just leave him be.
Keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, I know you too, Josh. And so, with that being said, so with everything going on, again, a lot's been going on with myself personally and my wife. So we've really had to pare down a lot of the projects that we've had, or I've had on the table, and so I wanted to divert a lot of my focus towards her. But thanks to Joshua Orchard and Dan Sponholz and their the Dawn Patrol, you guys have really inspired me to produce a baby Brit. And so thanks to Rasterize, I'm going to be doing a... sorry about the light, Allison.
Hi, Allison. Hi.
Hi, Allison.
Hi, Allison.
Everyone's saying hi to you, by the way.
I'm not.
Well, of course, yeah. Monty Python reference, of course. Love it. What was that? Patrick is there. Could you hear that, everyone?
Yeah. Everyone says hi but Patrick.
Back to everyone but Patrick. Yep.
She loves
You're
me.
officially on the podcast now, by the way. Sorry for that. Yeah, so I'm now doing a baby Brit, and that will be my pre-Flight Fest project. So I think this is actually a really good time to kind of shift gears. I'm going to kind of turn the table. I'm going to let loose the camera here. Let's start talking about Flight Fest. And this is actually I cannot take credit for this idea at all. This is, I think Patrick and Mike were talking about doing a show like this. So the idea of this show is we're going to talk Flight Fest and specifically flight line safety. This is kind of our prelim show, Mike. You would describe it as our pre-Flight Fest.
Yeah, well, more of a preliminary before we get to the seriousness of flight line etiquette. I mean, because we really need everyone to understand flight line etiquette. Number one, for safety reasons, because we've seen so much in the last 2 years up at Flight Fest. People not really following the rules, and we're not doing it because we're a bunch of, you have to follow the rules. It's because people will get hurt. I mean,
Yeah.
It's just that simple. We don't want anybody to get hurt, and I know that Andre
Hello.
really does not want anyone to get hurt.
Mhm.
No.
Well,
But we don't either. I mean, go ahead.
who,
Oh,
me?
who's?
I'm not sure. Somebody was getting ready to talk. So
Well, I'll just preface all of this. So last year at Flight Fest, I was in a build tent the whole time. And the build tent is a solid 20 foot, would you say, from the actual flight line rope, and then it's another 10 feet to the actual flight line. So you're talking a good 30 feet. And I had on one occasion where an airplane nearly took out my project on the table inside the build tent.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it comes from people not understanding some of this flight line etiquette just for safety's sake. And it could have been someone's kid. I wouldn't have had a problem if I had a prop sticking out of my eyeball. I would have been like, yeah, it's all good, man. You're having fun. But seriously, if it's someone's kid, I'm not going to take that chance. So that's really why we wanted to get together and talk about this.
Yeah, and speaking as a complete noob, because really this is my first event where I will actually physically be flying. So it's really, really, really a big deal to all of us. And Ryan Papp is, a.k.a. I'm sorry, what's his screen name? I'm terrible with screen names.
Crash Recovery.
Crash Recovery,
Crash
thank
Recovery.
you. Sorry. Sorry, Ryan. Terrible with screen names. So, yeah, Ryan's the first aid guy, so he's really, wanting to stay on point with this thing. As coming from someone who's completely new to this, I don't know the first thing about what the proper thing to do is at a flying event. So coming in and doing this kind of preliminary, because it is, we're not going to do our formal episode on Flight Fest yet because we're physically not ready to do it. But this kind of gets the gears rolling as to what to start thinking about when it comes to flight lines, as well as going to an event. It doesn't have to be just Flight Fest, but an event for the very first time. So, things to note 101. So, what would your opinion be on what the very first thing to know about going to an RC event and planning to fly?
Attend the pilot briefing.
Yep.
Every morning,
I've never
right?
been to one of those.
Every morning,
Yeah.
go to the pilot briefing. There can be announcements of things that happen overnight that you just won't know about.
Yeah.
Because someone could radio in to John Fury and say, I'm going to be arriving at this time.
Yeah.
And they make an announcement of it, and so you can plan for that. And rather than be like, well, there's no airplanes coming in. Well, a full-scale airplane could be a couple miles out, and you have to have the runway set. But, it's not just stuff like that. It could be, okay, someone got hurt yesterday. Let's all learn from this lesson today.
Yeah.
And those are really important things to take away. And it's really important to be able to take that back to the flight line. And if someone else is not behaving, you can say, I'm just self-policing. Really, you should take what we learned from the pilot meeting this morning, and we really shouldn't be doing that. So, number one, attend the pilot briefing. It's the best thing you can do to start off the day right.
Yeah. Now, when I say I've never attended one, there's always been a reason why I haven't. I've always been busy doing something at that block in the morning. The first year I was in charge of registration, and last year I was probably trying to get you to eat something or something like that.
Oh, that was only at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd been only going for an hour.
Sorry, can I pause this show for just 1 second to introduce Crash Recovery himself? Ryan Pat is joining us to
There's a
talk.
glow above his head like
Yep.
a deity or something.
So, first of all, let me introduce Ryan. Ryan Pat has been craving to come on as one of our guest hosts for I don't know how long. So, Ryan, first of all, welcome to the show. I'm also attempting to get Asbjorn on as
The crazy Viking.
other
God,
guest.
help us all
So, please bear with me a moment while I connect both of these fine
Hey,
gentlemen.
while you're doing that, can I answer a question?
Yes, please do.
Jason, the sailplane behind me, it's an Airtronics Grand Esprit from the early 1970s. And Keith Brown, I don't know what language you're talking, Keith. You're one of those fancy electronic guys, you know stuff, like you're smart. And that GPS question you asked, I have no idea, bro. None. But I'm looking forward to seeing you again at Flight Fest.
There we go. Okay, so Asbjorn should be joining us shortly. So let's talk about pilot briefings for a second. So, what all is it about the pilot's briefing that's so important to attend? What am I going to find out there, and what all is said during it?
Should I just keep going?
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to make sure that Joshua actually does that.
God!
You guys know I'm long-winded. Come on now.
Hang on, I'll be right back. I gotta go. Out of here.
Hello.
Oh, hey.
And
Right.
welcome to the show, Asbjorn.
Oh no. Well, I mean, in my experience, in all the pilot briefings I've gone to, I've attended Warbirds over Delaware and a couple of other local events and things like that. But you're going to find out the pattern, the typical pattern of the field, so that you're all flying the same pattern to help avoid collisions. You're also going to know if you're flying on 72 megahertz. Usually, they will indicate you really shouldn't be flying on this because we've had a lot of experience interference. At Flight Fest, they'll say, "Don't fly near the oil pump," because everybody dies near the oil pump.
Mm-hmm.
You can also get a sense of, okay, so where's the safety officer? And Ryan will raise his hand and say, "Come see me for a Princess Band-Aid." There's lots of different things that you'll learn where things are, how to operate. Sometimes things will change. So if something changes, like the Princess Band-Aids are now on the west end of the field as opposed to the east end of the field, whether wind is changing for one day and the pattern may change, you need to know that as well, who your flight line officer is going to be. If there are any other safety restrictions that are, to that specific site, those too. I was at a fly-in in Laurel, Maryland, and they literally fly right over Interstate 95, and they have literally had people call the FAA saying, "Oh my gosh, there's an airplane going down," because guys are flying aerobatics with their smoke on, and they think that these airplanes are literally flying into the ground and going to crash. And they always say at the briefing, "Do not fly with smoke on and stay away from I-95." And those are the kinds of things you have to be careful of because we're not trying to scare the public,
We do actually have a question from Jason Ubering as well, and that question is, Ubering. What is a pattern? So when you're describing a pattern, and in relation to the flight line, what exactly is that?
All right, so anybody else want to answer this before I jump on it?
It's the thing that I violated the first year of flight test.
Yes, it is.
So there is a certain direction that all the planes are flying in, and you like to keep them going in the same direction.
Now, correct me if I am wrong, but normally at most flying events, there are different flight lines which divide the different types of aircraft that are able to fly in those particular areas. So, for example, you'll have a heli flight line, you'll have a multi-rotors flight line, you'll have a line-of-sight flight line where, for an event like Flight Fest, for example, It will be all electric fixed wings, and then another end at the other end of the field will be like a sports flight line. So like that would be your aerobatics, your 3D, all of those type of things. And pretty much the idea of the pattern is that none of those individual areas will ever intersect with another area of.
Right.
Well. I know that this is a hot topic because the idea being is that there are invisible lines at each of these points, and no aircraft don't hate me for this, should pass those other flight lines. We know for a fact that never, ever happens.
I've never done that.
Ask the Stone Blue guys in a helicopter.
Right. Yes.
First year. Flight Fest 2014. It definitely
Yes,
happened.
sir.
But that's what we're trying to avoid, though, because at that first year, our pilot briefings were the Band-Aids are over here, have fun. And last year, the flight line briefings were much more, safety conscious and, watch out for the kids, have a good time. This is over here, drink lots of water, don't slip in the mud. If you get a tick, go over here. Those kinds of things because they're watching out for kids.
We did try to have some proper flight communication even the first year. But nobody came.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe a handful.
Yeah, and that's why I raised that, because you have to go to the pilot meeting in order to know what to do to be safe.
Yeah, like in 2014, I think I spent, at least 20 laps a day up and down the flight line, just talking to all the other volunteers and all the guests of trying to exactly about the flight line etiquette.
Mm-hmm.
Not go to the flight line and go between the numbers and fly between the other two pilots that are actually flying at their stations.
Yeah.
Wait in line.
Wait in line. Seriously, you'll have a chance. Just wait in line.
We know that these planes they don't fly for long.
Yes.
Especially at the beginner flight line.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone can wait for 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the reason why we've got Asbjorn on here is because of the fact that he's been the captain of the flight line for the last 2 years. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Asbjorn, you haven't been on a podcast either. Would you like to introduce yourself briefly?
Well, I'm the crazy Viking. I live far way up north. We're among the polar bears.
No. I'm far up north. You're on another continent.
We're really going international for this show. And what time of the day?
Andre, you're south.
I was teasing.
Remember, Anchorage, Alaska is south of me.
Yes, that's true.
I was teasing Andre about climate earlier, Asbjorn. I can't do that with you because you will throw an axe at me, and I don't want that.
Yeah, you're Brit, you know.
Yes, exactly.
Make your head into a canoe.
Something like that.
And row you to the new world.
Yeah.
The North Sea is kind of funny.
Yeah, it does weird things, doesn't it?
Yeah. But anyways, the last 2 years I've been attending Flight Fest and as one of the volunteers.
Do you have any idea if you're going to make it back this year?
I hope so. I really, really hope so.
I hope so too, buddy.
I don't know yet. I can't make any promises.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah.
And last year you were kind of last minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, and this year is even more sketchy.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
We may have to try to help fix that.
Yeah. And
I had a pleasant surprise from the tax office.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
The tax return wasn't a return.
It
Yeah,
wasn't
that
a
happened to
pleasant
me this year too.
all, Asbjorn.
Yeah.
I think that was everyone, literally.
Yeah.
All right, so we're at the pilot briefing. obviously we want to pay attention. Would there be any reason? Okay, being completely new at this, would there be any reason other than having a morning briefing to maybe do like an afternoon briefing? Is that a thing at all?
Actually, I would suggest doing a briefing 2 to 3 days, 2 to 3 times a day.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, depending. It's a good opportunity to raise things as they come along, and if anything is flagged.
Yeah.
And there are always people coming and going.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that the main reason why I'm thinking this is just I know myself in the morning. I'm not very alert and or orientated first thing in the morning.
What do you mean?
You're British,
right?
I need a cup of tea first thing to wake me up. I need some
He needs a tea and a crumpet.
No, because if you're staying with anywhere near us, you're gonna have Eric's coffee and you'll be up for 4 days. So
That's
there's
true.
no problem.
I've already promised him several bags of coffee beans from my local coffee shop, so I expect that to be on tap immediately.
He will do magic with them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, wait.
It'll make them look alive.
But assuming you're like me and you don't pay attention to the pilot's briefing, is there anywhere at the event where the Flightline rules are posted and/or the daily, so-called the daily news, would be posted for everyone to see it?
Not the last 2 years, but you can always just go to the orange shirts.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, contact the volunteers. If they don't know, they find out.
Yeah, I mean, part of going to one of these events is being a responsible citizen. So I know the last 2 years it's been kind of hard to listen to the PA system, but they do make announcements on those.
Yeah.
So, if you hear something that, there's going to be a meeting or something, then you really need to drop what you're doing and try to participate as an active person in the community at the event.
Yes. And one of the problems, and I see Keith Brown is saying, a few more speakers down the flight line, and I don't know what the plan is this year. Can you shed any light on that, Andre?
I do think they're going to be addressing it. There was a whack of notes from last year, and we're building it up. So I think it is in the. Sorry, Fred's telling thing.
Boy, that's what it was.
Everything is evolving, and we took a lot of detailed notes, and we learned a lot last year. I mean, last year pushed the entire volunteer crew and the our area of innovation to just deal with ongoing tasks was just a phenomenal experience. I mean, we worked hard. I mean, I don't know how many bales of straw I slung, but I did a couple.
A lot.
So. But every year, everything evolves, everything grows. And Fred, I will throw out a full wow. I've been reading through their notes and really digesting everything they're coming through. And I can tell you that Austin and the team has been really working, and they're months ahead of the schedule right now compared to where we've been in the last 2 years.
Good.
That's
So-
fantastic to hear.
Yeah. So this stuff it's been really interesting. Being involved at this level, and really, my interaction with the entire flight desk crew has been way up because we're digesting this, and I think at the stand, I haven't checked over the weekend, but I think I'm at about 70, maybe 75 registered volunteers so far.
That's
good.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
I know
very
my
good.
name's on that list.
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
everybody's going to get assigned to something. Usually I'm able to go off their first choice, and my goal is 2 shifts. Two shifts over and spread out over 2 days only. So if you're scheduled for Thursday, well, you work Saturday. If you're scheduled for Friday, you work Friday and Sunday kind of thing, but only 2 shifts so far.
Right.
Fingers crossed, no promises yet, because I still need another 30 or 40 bodies.
Well, I can be honest with you. I have not signed up, and the reason I haven't is because I've done so much last year without signing up for anything. I mean, other than just the registration. But
Yeah.
I did it all on my own. It wasn't anybody asking. It was just doing it because you felt like doing it. You know. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't this year at all. And I'm not sure that I'm going to truly sign up, but I know I'm going to be there Wednesday. just to help like set up and do all those kind of things, and then from
there's-
there I'll kind
That'll
of
be appreciated, I'm
figure
sure.
out what I'm going to do. But
Absolutely.
I may have to sign up just to get a shirt.
Actually, everyone in this group will probably do more work than most people never see.
Yeah,
Oh, it's-
exactly.
The right off the top,
Anyone that does not want to work. Remember that.
You
Well,
never work, Ryan.
I don't want to work as hard as I did last year.
although Ryan, I think this year I've got you down for first aid and security.
Yeah.
I don't know
That's
what
not
I put down for, but no.
Yeah.
But honestly, we've been lucky the past few years. I think the worst thing we've had so far in the past 2 years was a little girl grabbed a soldering iron thinking it was.
Yeah.
A few,
Yeah,
a few small
And I was the
cuts.
one that found her because I heard a little girl crying, and I went immediately to go find what it was and took her straight to Ryan.
And nice pack and some kind words, and I think I even gave her a Hello Kitty Band-Aid just for the hell of it, and she was happy.
Mhm.
So, but you know, we've been real lucky. We had a couple prop strikes last year, but nothing major. I mean, one guy probably could have gotten stitches, but he was an old coot from Tennessee, and he just wrapped it up. And by the time I got to him, it was actually bleeding through the Band-Aid, but he didn't want anything, so
Mhm.
Yeah,
he didn't force it on anybody. But I have, like I said, I signed up for other stuff, but I'm still going to do the first aid.
Yep.
But I'm
And I
really
was-
the one person you don't want to see coming to help you.
And actually, Ryan, I think I've got 2 or 3 other first aiders as well, and I think another lady is signed up, so that's good because I felt we needed both male
I
and
think last
female.
year we had about 5 people that were just kind of floating around
Yep.
as first aiders.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the intention. And everything is growing, and over the coming weeks, you'll see a lot more communication from the Flight Fest or Flight Test crews as we start building and establishing everything we need. And I'm still going to be doing active recruitment the entire time while I'm there, and that works out really well. Where occasionally we just pick up a couple people just to fill in shifts here and there. So pray
Seems
to
like we picked up
gosh,
quite a few
pray to gosh.
last year.
Last year was awesome. I mean, we would put out page calls for, I need a couple extra bodies on parking because, the parking crew was just, because what we were having to do, and the runners, the shuttle runners.
Yeah.
I'm just like, pray to gosh this year that we don't have to do that again. But, we'll put out active calls. And usually I've got people on the list that say, their name is there, then they've got, 2 or 3 people coming with them that can help out as well. So I'm quite confident that we'll have this whole thing out by the end of May. I'm hoping by the end of May to have the entire list filled, and then we'll have the overflow people to help out. So that's
Andre,
great. Yes, sir.
One of the big challenges is actually getting people to meet when they should.
Yes, that is a big challenge.
Like last year, I felt I actually felt I had to go hide if I wanted to do nothing.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. I hear you, and that is a big problem. And this is where I'm really working that we don't have these. So we've got 3 shifts a day: morning, afternoon, and PM. So AM, midday, and PM. And if everything goes well, you literally are scheduled for 2 shifts the entire weekend versus 1 per day. And I worked. I don't even want to talk about how much I did that weekend, but the biggest mistake I made was I walked around with a darn
Like clipboard.
My biggest
But-
mistake was being tall and looking like a Viking.
Yes.
So what you're suggesting, Asbjorn, is stay small and stay out the way.
And
Okay, I
take
can
your-
do that.
And take your orange
You know
T-shirt
what?
off when you're done your shift.
Absolutely.
You know
Take
what,
your
honestly-
orange shirt off.
Look,
That didn't help.
no,
No, it really didn't.
it's a community, and when Fred said he wasn't able to make it due to his new job commitments, Austin dropped me a note and said, "Hey, are you willing to do this position?" And it has nothing to do. There are people that are, good friends that are like, "Why did you do this?" And I said, "No, I didn't do this for me. I didn't do this for anything else. I did it because Flight Test has been such an important part of my life in the last 3 years, and Flight Fest has been such an amazing experience that, okay, I'm going to go to Ohio, I'm going to work my tail off for a couple of days, I know I'm going to come home exhausted, but it is so worth it because of what I've been able to get out of the experience and the people." So I'm like, you know what? it's a little bit of organization, it's a little bit of coordinating. It's nothing that's going to push me beyond any of my personal mental abilities. So why not? Game on, you know?
Okay, well, you haven't done it yet, so look out, Andre.
Yeah. Fred was looking pretty haggard by the end of the whole thing
Yeah,
last year.
Yeah.
I have to admit that I've never done as little flying as after Flight Fest.
Oh, goodness. When we flew the Radians, I was so tired by the time we got to the Radians last year that it was like after, well, I mean, and you know, you're looking at 10 different Radians going, is that mine? Right? I fully expect it, but I'm still going to go and I'm still going to give it all that I've got because, well, hey, it's my vacation. I'm going to have fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's part of the reason I made the pitch to Austin about the building series, because I love to fly. I really do, believe it or not. But you know, I wanted to be able to contribute something in the best way that I knew how, and that really started from a conversation that I had with Crafty Dan last year during the podcast, the group podcast.
Yeah.
We were sitting in the back of the tent I was building, and we were just having a good time chatting. We're like, you know, everything that we go to as professionals that's like a festival, it has like these clinics or these talks where you have specialists come in and you learn something new, and this is really evolving now into something like that. This is huge, and I think yeah, go ahead, Andre.
Year 3, my friend. Year 3, and we're already making huge climb. So yeah,
I'm excited to see how these workshops come along. And
don't forget, our first year we had more people than Joe Null does, and Joe Null's how many years running?
Yeah.
Yes, and speaking of which, we're coming full circle now, where for my aspect of the building series, Patrick will be assisting me. My lovely assistant, Patrick, is what he will be known as. And Carl Leidick will also be helping me for my build sessions. So
That's fantastic.
Carl's lovely too.
Yeah, he is not as lovely as you, Patrick.
I was ribbing David Vindestow pretty good, saying, "Do you know what time in the morning your session is?" And he's like, "No." I'm like, "It's early, dude."
You got the 5 a.m. session.
Yeah.
Electronics with David at 5 a.m. No, it's like 8 o'clock in the morning, but I'm like, electronics first thing in the morning. Oh, that's going to be tough.
Somebody's going to get zapped.
Yeah. I want to quickly pop over to a couple of the Q&A things because Keith Brown brought up a really good point. He was asking, if I can find where his question was. Keith, where did your question go, buddy? Keith had a really good point to do with the Flightline stuff, and I have now lost his question. I apologize, guys.
Oh, I know what it is. I saw it earlier. He was talking about, hollering your intentions.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to say. So real quick, do you mind if I quickly take this one, guys?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, man.
So, for those of you who do not fly at an AMA club field, because I know there's probably a good number of people who do, but again, even if you don't, it's really good practice. Call out exactly what you are planning on doing and when you are planning on doing it. Even if you don't know what your plane is doing, just call it out as a dead stick. And what we mean is this. So you have your airplane, you put it out up into the air because, of course, tall grass, you're probably going to hand launch it. So you hand launch your airplane, Andre, and say you throw it up in the air and you pull an Andre, and it comes tearing around and you have no control. Yell out, no control, or yell out dead stick. Just yell something so that everyone else around you can tell exactly what is going on with your airplane, because the worst thing that you can do is say nothing at all, and none of us know what the heck is going on.
And the very best thing to do is have a good spotter so that you two can communicate. So if you're in one of those jams, your job as a pilot is to make sure that it doesn't hit someone, and your spotter's job is to call out and say, this guy's going to hit you unless you move.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So important.
Hey, can I offer a suggestion on that one too?
Yes, please.
Don't say look out, heads up, or whatever, because I saw that a couple times, and everyone on the flight line, regardless if they had a control in their hand or not, looked away and from what their plane was doing, and I one time saw 3 other planes crash because nobody was paying attention.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Good
Well,
night,
and-
Jason.
in a very large event like this, that's going to happen. I mean, there's not a lot you can do, and it's better to at least the person that is truly crashing to begin with at least say something other than nothing at all and take somebody's head off.
Absolutely.
I
those
want
are
to.
the-
I want to add that if you are in a pinch and you lose control out over the field, if it's way out in the field, don't say anything. It just distracts those other people
Yes.
fighting to
This
keep their
is
planes
true.
in the air.
Only when you're looking at it and it's going to cross over the flight line should you be calling
Yes.
something.
Yep.
Yes,
But
if you're
you-
flying over the pits, absolutely start hollering.
Yes.
If you're flying over yourself and go back into the camping, into the tents, into something, somewhere it can hit someone, yell, what you can.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you go for the crash way out in the fields, shut up, go pick it up.
But and again, that calls into question too the different maneuvers that you're doing. Because this is such an active flight line, you really can't afford yourself to fly low very often. If you're going to fly low, you have to say low pass, because there's someone who's just landed and they want to go out and they want to holler on the field and go get their airplane. And if you're just going to willy-nilly say, oh, I'm going to do a low pass, well, someone could be walking out on that flight line and you're going to go straight into their face.
It hurts when you get hit in the head with an airplane too. It's happened.
Because you're focusing on your airplane and you don't know what the other pilots are doing, so they need to be respectful of you as a pilot, and you need to be respectful of them as a pilot when they have finished their turn.
And remember those 4, 5, 6, 7-year-olds just running out,
Exactly.
Oh, yes.
getting their plane.
And that's where your spotter is important, because you won't see that if you're flying an airplane.
Correct.
Can I real quick? Can we just quickly go over the way that Fury Field is laid out? Because a lot of people don't really, because you get a kind of a sense of it when you're looking at the flight test episodes, but really let's kind of go through what you can kind of expect in the way that the field is laid out.
A lot of walking.
Can someone please, for
I've
those
got a
of
golf
us
cart.
who have never been there,
Okay, here, I
who
got
have
you. I
never
got you,
been
Joel.
there, thank
I got
you.
you.
Patrick, please describe.
I'm going to start at the western end of the field, which is
Thank you.
the quote-unquote no-fly zone, which some people take as the Radian flight line.
Wondering
Because
who
they
that
don't really fly. They just
Yeah.
sort of float there.
Yes. Now, there is the western end. There are houses directly across the road from the runway, not far away. So that's kind of a buffer zone. They don't want people flying there. Heading,
except for
yes, except for us. Heading eastward, I believe the first thing you come to is the heli flight line.
I thought that was FPV.
You're going off last year. Like, look, guys, there is a new map in place. There's
Okay.
a new design. I will tell you that road we accessed it from last year, we won't be using at all. The access will be on the far right side this year. Remember the emergency exit where we were pumping people out afterwards? So the layout is going to be dramatically different. I'm going to wait because, like I said earlier, I want Austin to do the release, but I've seen the early demo, and I think you guys will be impressed with how they've managed to spice it up and actually utilize the property a whole lot more effectively. So
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
and that was kind of, it wasn't my intention to go through the map stuff, but just to kind of describe, so there's
You have areas for different types of flying.
Right.
Yes, sir.
What you want to know.
And
Andre.
so you've kind of got, so the way that the field is there's what, soybeans is what they usually grow out there?
Yeah.
Corn.
So you got,
Soybeans, corn. So it
Right.
might be corn this year.
children,
okay, so
Finding your
there's,
airplane.
children in the corn.
Yep. So they have a growing field, which is kind of where I'm assuming majority of the flying takes place.
I'm thinking most of the crops will be gone this year because I think they harvested a lot of that stuff. Well, they were harvesting while we were there last year, so I think that's the advantage this year is they're going to have all the soy gone, and I think they're going to have the corn gone. If I'm right, I might be off
It's
on
all
that.
going to be
early.
It's going to be
That's
close.
crazy early to have the corn gone.
Yeah.
Andre, one big question regarding the flight lines.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Actually, a topic you can bring up to the FT guys. We have a main flight line and we have a so-called beginner flight line. What's the difference at FlightFest?
What's the difference? Well, hopefully, we generally, on the beginner flight line, generally, if I'm correct, we had at least double, maybe triple the staff online.
No.
Well, it depended on how far the weekend was in too. But, I've flown on the beginner flight line.
Andre, think about it. The build tents, where are those?
They are going to be located differently.
Right.
Here.
Okay, they have been right next to the main flight line. Where do all the kids go when they have finished building their planes?
The closest flight line they can find.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that makes
that's
sense.
one thing to keep in mind is you're looking at kids. They don't know better. So.
And what's funny? It's we all love it with the advent of the the 2.4. We lost our peg boards, right? So all we have is these 5, and we've all seen it. Come the end of the day, there is no 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just free fall and go. So that is something. And actually, I'm pecking out notes right now, Ashbourne, just on those things, and that's stuff we can look into and I can discuss on Monday. And especially the one really nice thing about this year is I've actually taken vacation and I am going to drive down to Ohio. One, I'm hanging out with the after hours crew and we'll do a whole bunch of shenanigans, but I'm actually going to be able to sit down and meet with the flight test guys on the Friday and the Tuesday, and we're going to hash out a few more details about Flight Fest and the organizing crew and stuff, just to bang out stuff. So we have time and they've got the numbers and they're anticipating what they know, but it's nice that we can actually tweak and tune right up to July basically.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And you can, like you said, that is a fantastic suggestion about moving the basic learner course to the. I think we're having 2 build tents this year, maybe 3.
Yep.
3.
So,
Yeah.
exactly. Now, when you guys are doing your builds and all this, the sessions and everything, they're not going to be as critical. But if you've got the general build tent, that is a fantastic idea of shoving that beside the beginner line, and maybe we get a few more flight line monitors, particularly for the beginner line. So
But what I'm thinking is, at FlightFest, most guys attending are so-called beginners. We fly foam planes. We crash foam planes. Yeah. So, what's really the difference between a beginner and a guy that's been doing it for a couple of years at FlightFest?
We crash harder.
Yeah, exactly.
Style.
Yeah, but I wouldn't call it beginner flight line. I would be just calling a flight stations.
You're saying have extra lines?
Extra stations.
The main flight line instead of the beginner flight line. I guess.
Just one big flight line with many stations.
But my issue there, and I think, is the intimidation factor for a new flyer. Think how it's one thing for us.
Andre, a new flyer goes to build tent. They build a plane. They check over the planes. They start the planes inside the tent with the props.
Yes, they
do. They almost take off inside the tent.
Yeah.
We chase them outside. last year I confiscated a battery.
I was going to say, you take their batteries.
Yep. Eventually, they will go out, get out of the tent and actually out on the flight line, on the main flight line, and throw the plane away.
Okay.
They will crash right next to a guy that's been standing in line with his proper plane, and almost crash into him. They will run out just right in front of him, doing a low pass. Yeah.
So I think that brings
you
up
get the drift.
I think that brings up a really, really good point, as we all know. So let's talk about like just basic takeoff and landing procedure real quick. So first of all, let's just say, for example, the noob wants to take an airplane off. So I'm standing in line. I get to the flight line. Number one, have I got my battery connected to my ESC?
No.
Why?
Because you should never approach a flight line with anything already powered up. You should have the airplane at the flight line, just like if you were to fly a gas airplane. You wouldn't be sitting there waiting to fly with the gas engine running. Same thing applies to a battery, because if you bump your throttle hold switch and then you bump the throttle, something could happen, someone could get hurt. So you don't put the battery in the airplane until you are at the flight line at a pilot station.
Yeah.
Okay.
And your transmitter's on because there's enough 2.4 going on that your plane could bind, depending on your receiver type. You could bind with someone else.
So let's say that. So number one, my battery is disconnected. Number two, my transmitter is off. I arrive at the flight line, and the very first thing I do is turn on my transmitter.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that my transmitter is fully operational, that I have selected the correct aircraft, that I have verified that the controls are showing outputs.
You then have to plug your battery in before you can do all that.
Yes.
And then after that,
check your crap.
That's when you check everything. Check your crap.
Pre-flight check.
And then after you do that, then you announce that you're going out on the field.
Correct. Okay. So, for example, I'm assuming you hand launch everything, unless you have like a Tundra, Andre.
Or a Carbon Z Cub.
Or a Carbon Z Cub, Mike.
Or Sikorsky.
Okay, we get the big birds with the big tires. Okay. Okay. Or you're Joel, and you have 22-inch wingspan airplanes, because that's the only thing that Allison will allow in the house. So
we gotta work on that.
Okay. So I have my for sake of argument, I have my mini Mustang.
Right.
So I have powered it up. I transmitter on, ESC's on. It's armed. It's ready to fly. So I cannot just stand at the flight line and launch it. I have to walk out into the field, past the line of people.
No.
So how far? What am I doing? Like stepping?
You don't want to walk
a couple
out
of steps
on the field if you don't have to. I mean, look, I've gone out there. I've had to go out on the field a couple times, and quite frankly, it scares the heck out of me.
It is scary.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It's daunting.
But no, I mean, doing a hand launch from a pilot station is perfectly acceptable.
Yes.
But it is important to call out your intention. So launching right to left.
Taking
taking
off
right to left, or hand launch, however you want to announce it, as long as it's a clear intention, and then you make it loud, because there are people talking.
There is music playing over the PA system.
Perfect. So my aircraft is now up. It's in the air. I'm at the controls. I have my spotter. It's flying around. It's perfectly fine. Uh-oh. I flew too long, and my battery is out. So I call out dead stick, and it lands in the corn, or the soybeans, whatever is out there. What is the next thing that I do from there?
Check to see if any of the other pilots have called out emergency landing or landing, if the runway or low pass. So make sure that those checks are done, then look, and then call out on the field.
On the field.
And then keep your head on a swivel.
Absolutely.
And
If you
Now-
can, listen for confirmation from the other pilots that they've acknowledged your call and intention.
Yes.
so, how would another pilot acknowledge a call?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. You're not that far apart.
or maybe not at all.
Right.
Yeah, or not at all.
And those kids that Asbjorn was talking about, they're going to be out there flying. They're not going to really understand what on the field means. So ultimately, your safety is your responsibility. So keep low and move fast.
Ultimately, the best way to do this is to just be a good example.
Yep, absolutely.
Yes,
And
sir.
that's why it's called a community. You know, it's going to be the people who've been doing this. I don't care what your age is, but the point is, if you've been part of the flight test community for a while and you're flying and everything, yeah, we have some expectations.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And as one of the volunteers, yes, if you see people doing
Just
stupid stuff on the field, just go talk to them.
Exactly.
Don't yell at them.
It's
Just be
not
nice.
Exactly.
it's not
Thank
because they're jerks. It's because
They
just
don't know any better.
know.
Or they're
Yeah.
excited.
Be nice about it.
Yeah, they're excited.
That's the thing is,
That's a big part of it. Absolutely, is those kids get so excited.
Or
Yeah.
nervous. Or nervous.
I was gonna
yes.
say,
Yeah.
I'm probably going to be one of those highly excited, highly nervous pilots because,
Yep.
as I said, first, you'll, I'm going to be hazed to hell. I already know that.
No, we're gonna give you,
I'm going to be, I know I'm going to be
You're
hazed.
going to be flying, and everybody's going to be giving you wet
Yeah,
willies.
that's true, Mike. I know about that. This is the after hours thing. Okay, we'll get there. That's the night.
Joe.
This is the night flying juice.
Joe,
Um,
you're talking about the nervousness. Flight Fest 14. I didn't fly a single plane, and all of a sudden, Thomas Grütze, I don't know how to spell his name, but yeah, he just put his radio in my hands, and what am I flying? Oh, that one. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you dare do that to me, because every time Dan hands me the controls of a plane of his that's in the air, I crash it. Okay, that is a promise.
Yeah, but Joe, I circled the plane on one lap, and I did the best landing I ever done in my life.
Yeah, and he
Kudos.
commented about it, didn't he? He was like,
Yeah.
you should not flip it over.
Well, the funniest thing is Dan and I actually have an agreement that every time he hands me the controls of one of his airplanes, I have to crash it.
Actually, Dan actually crashed my quad last year.
Why does that not surprise me?
What's going to be, you know, what's going to be crazy this year, though? I mean, as much as we're all fans of the new waterproof foam, it's really easy to spot a white plane in green grass and various seeds and stuff. Imagine all these unpainted brown.
Yep. I can only imagine how that's going to be. Yeah, that's very true.
Andre, note to take back the flight test. Have a case full of yellow spray paint for sale.
Or even
Somewhere.
decal, even some
Decals or
Fluorescent
I was going to say what Ed from Experimental Airlines uses the colored packing tape. Even that would be fine.
There you go. There's some money to be
You
made.
see me typing away, kids?
Yep, there you go. See, this is good.
And Ashford, I will take back to Austin tomorrow, and I will talk to him about maybe we need, as far as these seminars, is the new pilot guided flying experience. You know?
Yeah.
That's possible.
Honestly, I think, you know what, because I can attest to this, because I'll be the first to admit I don't classify myself as a beginner anymore, but there was a time that I was. And when I went to the open fly-in at my old club, I say old because I still haven't renewed my membership there yet, and so I think it's really, really a good idea to have somewhere where people can go and learn about what the proper rules and procedures are, because unless you do, I mean, I did attend a pilots meeting, but even so, it probably wouldn't hurt to do somewhere where, like, someone like any of us, right? Someone like any of us who could be out there one-on-one at a pilot station. Okay, do you understand how the controls work? Do you know what the plane orientation is? How can I help you? How can I make this experience better?
I wonder.
I'm on your side 100%.
I wonder if they could leverage the AMA.
In 2014, we actually had volunteers at the beginner flight line that was there to help people to fly.
Yep.
On
buddy boxes.
Buddy boxes.
Yeah. That worked all day Friday, but Saturday if I recall, we had a major shortage of people. So
people stopped showing up.
Yeah, we had one day that actually worked. Last year it was not in action because we were just massively undermanned, understaffed.
Yeah, with all the weather, it was.
Only teaching at the beginning flight line last year was Josh Bixler teaching Baloo to fly.
Yes.
That's very
That was
funny.
Baloo throwing the remote into Bixler's hand. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Good old Baloo.
Yeah. And he'll be there.
Yes.
It will be there. Good. Excellent.
I'm looking forward to
I'm
seeing
really,
him again.
I was going to say I'm really looking forward to meeting all of these guys that are going to be out there with us. So let's. I know I love the evolution of this conversation. It's really we're going into a lot of great detail that I had no idea about. So the noob goes out, recovers his airplane. Now I disconnect my battery immediately. That's thing number one.
Yeah. Put out the fire.
If there's a fire, Andre, we know you're responsible for those. So I.
Yeah, Ryan will be out there in the Polaris with his bucket of sand real quick.
Yeah.
Yep. So we
hopefully Peter has
disconnect. Fighting quad.
His firefighting quad there.
Right.
I'm gonna probably need it. I have some graphene packs that might explode. I really hope they don't, but I may have an exploding pack. Fingers crossed that doesn't happen.
Oh,
So
I'm hoping it does.
Oh no! Don't. Those batteries are beautiful, man. I didn't even get that in my update. Oh, well, there's one
Anyway, go
thing
ahead.
extra.
Sorry.
No, trust me. This is fun. I'm having a great.
So you got the airplane unplugged. You're coming back toward the flight line.
Correct.
You're tiger crawling through the field.
Tiger crawling through the field with airplane in hand, or strapped to my back with bungee cords, something ridiculous. So. What then would be like so say for example I pull an Andre and half of my wing is off of the airplane. I don't have aileron or elevation control. I need to repair the plane. I go into the build tent. I fix it. I go back out to the flight line. What do I do then?
Well, you missed a step first of all.
Go on.
As soon as you come back off the field, you need to tell the other pilots that you're off the field.
Thank you. See, I did. Yep.
And then the other thing you need to do is while you're on the field, run.
Yes.
Run, boys, run!
And for those guys who will be there flying and happen to be listening or will be listening to this, there's almost always somebody on the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A great suggestion that came in as well is, do we want to implement a 20-foot low ceiling?
But no, I fly like 2 inches off the
Impossible.
deck.
Impossible.
Yeah.
So how do you land?
That was from our good buddy. That was our good buddy Ben Greenwald with that suggestion.
Tell Ben he can run out on the flight line with a stick and measure every time someone comes that low.
Ben's pretty tall. We could just use his head as the,
Hey, that works for
the
me.
measurement.
So basically, we'll have Ben on one end of the flight line and Asbion on the other end, and there are
Right.
There we go.
If you hit them in the head, you're too low.
Meanwhile, if you hit Joel, then you're really, really pushing it.
But you've done us all a favor.
Not bad.
Says you.
I know I'm a pain, but still.
Yeah,
we
so
love you, Joel.
oh, absolutely. All right, so you called out that you're off the field. Now you're in the build tent fixing your plane. Now what do you want to know?
Yeah, do not hook your battery up with the prop
That was
on
going to
the
be my
plane.
next thing. I want to go ahead and test all of my controls. Dang it, because I
Take
don't
the
know
prop
what I've broken.
Take the prop off.
Please.
Why
for the
do I
Lord.
want to do that? I want to see how much thrust I have. Because
Yeah,
thrust.
Yeah,
Do
we
that on
want
the
to
flight
see
line.
how much blood you have.
Yeah, it's
We
very
wanna see
true.
how much blood you'll lose.
Or that.
Someone bring a pint bucket.
I mean, we say all this in jest, but I mean, in all seriousness,
Yeah.
take the dumb prop off.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
Okay. Let's talk real quick about some of the safety equipment that you probably want to have on hand in your handy dandy crash kit. So here
I have a
in front
Viking.
of me is my handy dandy crash kit. Now I have several things in
That looks
here.
like the flying toolbox.
It is exactly the same as the flying toolbox,
I
but
thought it was.
inside, there is a good many things that I like to bring out on the field. So some of the things that you probably want to take with you. Number one is I always carry a basic first aid kit. Number one, absolutely every time. And number two is definitely want to have servo tester. Definitely a battery tracker, and guys, trust me, I lost a quad recently, and thank goodness I recovered it, but beeping alarms could not be easier to find an airplane with.
There have been a number of quads lost out at Greenfield too.
So, guys, get a beeper, get some kind of audible alarm. Even the Bluetooth, what was it, that Bluetooth tile that flight
Here,
test
right here.
tested? There you go, Mikey. Here, I'm going to put your camera up.
Oh, wait,
Please
that one.
describe. Mikey, what is that? Describe it. Tell us what that is.
Oh, this is a tile, and thankfully Jen Bixler, love Jen, actually saved one of these for me. You actually can sync it to your iPhone or Android device, whichever you prefer, and you can actually go out and find your aircraft, whether it be airplane, quad, whatever. These things are fantastic. You can use them for your keys. You can use them for whatever you might lose. You attach it to it, and you get on the link you to it within a few feet, and you can actually share it with other people, and they can help you find your stuff as well.
Joe, you started to talk about safety gear in your toolkit.
Yes.
The best safety gear is common sense.
There you go.
They don't
I like
sell
that.
that though.
The second best safety kit is tool to take your prop off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Take your prop off. Take your
Let's
prop off. Take
go
your prop
through.
off.
Let's go through my.
I think I said that every 5 minutes for 3-4 straight days.
Needle nose pliers, I think, are probably the best tool for this job because they can take off props of any size.
Yep.
But the best thing about needle nose pliers as well is they come in really handy for pulling battery connectors apart. Because if you have crashed hard enough, I've done this before, I've crashed so hard that my battery connectors jammed together and I could not get them apart. So, to break the connection, a good old-fashioned pinching device, such as needle nose pliers, are a phenomenal tool for that task. Another great thing that I like to keep around is a good pair of Teflon-coated scissors, because in the event that you need to get into anything quickly, or you need to cut gauze or anything like that, a good pair of Teflon-coated scissors are probably a really good thing to keep around. I also like to keep another set of just regular wire snips. Again, quickly disconnecting the battery. Do not disconnect. Do not clip both wires at the same time. Just clip one of them. Just
If
go on, Pat.
you have to find out for yourself, just make sure I'm there to watch.
Yeah, with a fire extinguisher and 5 bags of sand.
Actually,
Yes.
with my tricopter, I smashed into a wall, and I actually drove a bolt through into one of the cells in my battery.
Well, that'll do it.
Yep, that will puncture it and cause this beautiful wispy white smoke.
Yeah, it did. But I was kind of lucky because only that cell actually took burnt out.
That's
Nice.
fantastic that you were able to rescue the other two.
I threw it away.
lucky.
The two? The three, you mean?
The three. I'm sorry, you're a 4S pilot.
Yeah, he's the Forrest guy.
Another time, I actually crashed even harder. That was full panic, full throttle into the house wall.
Nice. That takes skill.
I lost orientation completely and just did something, and it hit the house.
Oh, and here's a little something else about
And that time,
safety.
I actually sliced through 2 cells of my pack without the battery catching fire.
That takes some serious skill. Mikey, you
Yeah,
had
no
something
kidding.
you
Because
wanted to
usually
pipe in?
yeah, sorry about that, Asbjorn, but we started talking about quads, and one of the biggest things that we want everybody to be aware of is there is an FPV line, and if you are transmitting video, you need to go to the FPV line first.
Yeah, and never put your transmitter on before you have checked that nobody else is on the same channel.
Yes.
I just wanted to bring that up because you started talking about quads and it made me think about it.
I agree.
So-
And while we're on the subject of quadcopters, because this also happens to be in my crash kit here, do you see how thin these blades are? Okay, for those of you who cannot see, it is less than the width of a human hair. These things are also ridiculously sharp. I have a scar to prove that. For the love of all
He's not very
things
bright.
holy, for the love of all things holy, please remove these if you are doing any kind of testing whatsoever,
Yes.
especially on a quadcopter.
Yeah.
Because if you do something incorrect with the flight controller, especially now that Flight Test has brought out the Versacopter, these come in a beautiful 6-inch variety that they supply with the Versacopter, and these things are bloody sharp little devils, and they will cut you, and you will bleed profusely everywhere. Do us all a favor.
It's super simple. Battery or props, never both. No matter what kind of aircraft you fly.
Yep, absolutely.
Yes,
I have to agree with every single comment that we're putting out.
And the thing about the multi-rotors is the fact that there's not one spinning blade of death. There are at least 3, 4, and 6. So you really want to be. Oh, I'm sorry, even 5 if you're flying one of the Dragonflies.
Pentacopter, yep.
So I mean, depending, just make sure that you take the props off, guys, and don't fire up your FPV equipment without going down to the FPV line. I know.
Yeah, I think
you
it's
got
more
signal,
than
but go down.
it's more than just going to the FPV line. There's wasn't it Immersion last year that ran?
Yes.
They kept track of everybody.
At multi-GP too, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
so-
it was. What's his name?
Chris.
Crazy.
Chris.
Well, Chris was managing it with multi-GP, and IB Crazy was also assisting with it. Alex, yep.
Yeah. Matter of fact, IB Crazy really did a lot of work down there, so we want to give him kudos as well. He
He's
did
a good
lot
dude.
Of work down. Yeah, he's a great dude.
He's a real good dude.
So-
No, I completely agree. FPV safety is a huge thing, and frequency checking. I'm assuming because I've been speaking with Chris, what he is planning on having, or what multi-GP has as a standard now, because my FPV group has it. We now have 2 specific channels just for testing. You can test a maximum of 200 milliwatts, on those two channels because they don't want you stepping all over the other frequencies. But there's two specific testing channels on the FPV lines now for multi-GP, so you can test your equipment first, then change the channel when you're ready to fly, and only when you're ready to fly do power on.
Well,
that works only if you are if you're not many people flying at the same time. Because at Flight Fest and other events, we usually fill up the bands.
yeah.
So
Well,
there are no frequencies for testing.
And that's why we want you to go to the FPV tent and let them know what you're doing. So, I mean, it's so important because you can step on somebody else's stuff, crash your stuff, and just not a good thing to do. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to bring any quads other than my Phantom 3. I will be bringing that, but other than that, I'm not bringing any quads or any FPV stuff.
Absolutely.
Neither will I.
Yeah,
Well, that's good, Josh. I appreciate
Josh, just for the record, will you please state how you feel about multi-rotors?
I think that goes without saying, Joel.
He doesn't want to make any enemies.
Do you see how he's not saying anything at all? Do you see how
because I have no feeling about them.
Do you see his face? Do you see the facial expression of pure hatred towards these aircraft?
No, I don't hate them. I don't hate them.
No,
Joe.
I can. No, hang on a second. Joel, he does not hate them because I've been to his field and he says, "Hey, why don't you take this thing up?" Because nobody there was flying them and nobody had really seen them too much, and I brought that big quad out that Kurt had bought or cut for me, and I was flying that around, and that became quite an interesting topic for a little bit when I was out there, and that was Josh's idea. So he does have, he doesn't hate them, but he's just not a fan of them because he doesn't fly them.
Yes, well, they're not scaled.
We know. I was going to say, Patrick, we know the type of aircraft flavor that he prefers.
All right, Josh, I'm going to go build an Osprey, and then I can fly it like a multi-rotor, and it'll be scale.
That would make me so happy.
That would make me happy as well. That would be awesome.
Yeah, again, I don't have anything against them. It's just not my particular style. If you want to fly that, it's great. But the concern that I have is that people usually are so excited about getting them in the air that they're not taking those safety precautions. And at the end of the day, I want to bring all of my fingers home, not just a couple of them.
Me too.
I've got an airplane that has 1,600 watts of power and swings an 18-inch prop. I have a deep respect for spinning blades of death, and
Yes,
I like
sir.
to convey that to other people as well.
Yes.
Now, I have. Go ahead.
Yeah, not only that, but multirotors are, it's become too easy to get it, to just go into the store, buy something, ready to fly, put it in the air, and fly wherever you are not supposed to fly.
Right.
Yeah.
And the whole drone debate.
Yeah.
Well, you can't stop idiots.
No, well, right.
That's true.
And that's why I like what Asbjorn said, that the first ingredient inside of a crash kit is common sense, because absolutely everyone needs to have a modicum of common sense in order for a safe environment to take place. So I completely agree with that.
Well, I can say for the most part, this whole flight test community does have a lot of common sense for the most part. I mean, we do have some beginners that may not know and get excited, but for the most part, man, this is one great community, and there is nothing like it. I defend it and promote it every chance I get because of the fact that we are, at least for the most part, we all have common sense.
Yeah. Can we also talk about things that we don't recommend or don't think that would be appropriate to bring to Flight Fest for safety reasons, like
Fireworks. Fireworks.
rockets?
No, well, I was actually reading the AMA safety code earlier today in preparation for this. I mean, guilty as charged for always doing my homework. Now, the
You're
AMA
such a nerd.
I am.
Really? Nerd alert.
The AMA safety code says that you can have rocket motors on your airplane, but it cannot leave the aircraft.
Right.
Okay?
Got it.
If you are going to get into model rocketry, they refer you to the model rocketry group. Okay?
Mhm.
So, but they do stipulate that you cannot have a rocket physically leave the airplane intentionally. Those are their instructions about rockets and motors and stuff.
Oops.
Intentionally.
Yeah, we're not talking. We're not talking about Peter Shrupol intentions, okay, people? We're
talking about. Yeah. Okay. So what I was also inferring is things like. Oh, really? Well, luckily it's
2 hour mark.
It really is right in every 2 hours. Or every hour.
Cookie Monster
is strong as this one. Not used.
Oh my.
Has it become horrendously awful?
Yeah, but
It sound like Martian. How manically pressed.
Somebody make him stop.
Mute him.
Yeah, he's got control. We can't mute him.
Sorry. I have
such a child.
Shut up.
Oh yes, we can.
Do you think I'm going to listen actually from the Viking? Shut up.
Back to topic. What you're not supposed to bring to Flight Fest is anything fuel powered.
That's it. Yeah, that's exactly where I was going with that. So, what am I not going to bring with me?
Any nitro or gas airplanes, or helicopters, or anything else.
Fly within your comfort level.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
I like that.
I have just built a Peter Shrupol Special Experimental Model 101.
what?
Leave it at home.
Thank you, Asbjorn. I knew he would get that. So yeah, don't bring anything that you're not already comfortable flying, because if you end up hurting someone, you're not going to be very happy about it.
Well, not only that, but never fly anything at Flight Fest that
But
you're
you
not
love.
afraid to lose.
Yeah.
Everyone is encouraged to build strange contraptions that might fly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my issue with that, bring things that you don't care about. That should go for every flight.
Well,
I mean, every
and
time you go
I don't
up, it's a
disagree.
gamble.
I don't disagree, but of course, when you have last year, what we end up with, Andre, almost 1,000 pilots.
Yeah,
700. Yeah, 900. Yeah.
It was like 960 something, I think.
Yeah, 960 pilots. So if you don't want to lose anything you have, you don't want to throw it in the air with 900 other pilots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you're
And
doing
I don't
combat.
know at the same time, but yeah, boy, combat's a whole different.
Game
but-
on.
Yeah, it's game on then.
I'm rethinking about bringing my airplanes to Flight Fest now.
Patrick, you and I can cower in the corner together.
Okay, buddy. Okay.
That's all right. I'm going to bring my Carbon Cub again this year, because since David Vindestall is going to be there, he has to sign it, and he's the only one that hasn't. So.
Can I fly it?
Absolutely.
Cool.
And the Reagans are coming. I'm
Absolutely.
bringing my Tundra. Yep. I guess the other thing too, Joel, is the one thing we've talked about, and Joel's not even there to answer, is if you've got an airplane that you want to bring. I brought my first year. I brought my T-28, and for the life of me, I couldn't take off and I couldn't land because those fields just are not small wheel compatible.
No, they're not.
That's true.
And there's a
true.
pretty amazing photo of my T28 doing this.
Well, let me tell you.
Around.
Let me tell you. Unless you have at least 3-inch wheels.
Yeah.
At least 3-inch wheels. Don't plan on taking it off from the ground.
No.
Right.
And even then, it's a gamble. I have the first year at Flight Fest, I brought my Top Flight AT6 Texan, and
Yes.
I was barely able to get off the runway with that. And that was an 8-pound airplane with 3.5-inch wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I brought my Sukhoi last year and flew it. Now, I took the AS3X off of it, and that was the first time I did it. But,
Yes, I remember
it took
that.
off fine. It took off. I just control it once I got in the air.
Yeah. But remember last year.
But I had to fix that issue.
Yeah, last year the Furies actually
Diane went out and mowed it
mowed
the second
the lawn.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I asked her to go out and do it, and she's like, "Where do you want it?" And we did the main flight line. But yeah, I mean, 3 inches. Even my Pawnee, I put 4-inch wheels, and that made all the difference. So that airplane might come along with me just because it's kind of, with the lights on, it might be kind of fun.
Yeah.
And I like a good high wing there anyhow.
And that being said, don't be afraid to hand launch a plane that you might normally take off at your own field.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or have someone do it for you.
Right.
Yeah,
Even better.
absolutely.
Patrick, will you hand launch my 14-pound Hawk?
Sure.
Might give her.
I would love to, Josh.
Josh, no
I'll help
problem.
you pick up the pieces too.
I'll bring the trash bag.
I already know Asbjorn can hand launch the Sikorsky, so that's not an issue.
Yes. No problem.
Another thing to actually bring to Flight Fest is bring your night flyers.
Yes. That is
Yes.
probably one of the most amazing things that's developed over the last couple of years. Is we're sitting there, it's like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm beat exhausted, but I'm just watching these airplanes go around, thinking if I wasn't so tired, I'd be flying, but my eyes are so worn out that I'd lose my airplane like that. But it's so relaxing to sit there by the fireplace or wherever with your reclined chair and just watch.
Yep.
Yeah, and my absolute favorite was the guy flying the Night Vapor, the little mini Vapor with the lights, and he had the thing way up there, and it's just kind of floating along, and I'm like, that's cool. It's 1S, it's windy possibly, but it's cool. Yeah, and then the guy had the night vision air, and it was just this white mess, and you're like, I don't know what direction you're going,
The other alternative is to build a giant FT flyer in the middle of the rainstorm. And
There you go.
nice, yeah.
That's a good idea.
You can do.
I can admit that I can't wait to volunteer to be part of a project like that. That excites me greatly.
That was fun.
It will change your life.
Yeah.
You know that you know that you're not really a part of this group without being having been a volunteer.
Asbjorn, remember the part where I said I'm going to be hazed? Yeah, I haven't been officially inaugurated into the group yet because I haven't been hazed during one of these build sessions yet.
I think that Joel is small enough that we could build an airplane that we could put him in and fly it.
You could.
Well, there's one sitting at Flight Test headquarters right now that
the
is
Cree?
absolutely large enough. No,
There's
it's the
a
new one that they're
cardboard
building.
plane. There's a cardboard
Oh,
plane
the
sitting
cardboard
there.
one. That's right.
Yes. And Peter's small, but I don't think he's as small as Joel is, and I think Joel will have a better. It'll be much easier to fit him in it.
Actually, I can officially say after meeting Mr. Shrewpole, he is only slightly taller than me. So we're
right.
about the same size.
That's okay.
5'4.5",
Joe,
and
Joe.
I yes, go for it.
You are either taller or smaller.
That's right.
Not just is not enough.
With me, every millimeter counts as.
Wow.
Yeah,
Two words: Napoleon complex.
Of course I have a damn Napoleon complex. Who do you think runs this show?
Joel, Pat, and I, all three have that.
Well, since you're smaller than Peter, you're small.
Yeah. You know, the funny thing is,
Thank you, King of the Obvious from Norway.
my nickname in school when I was in like the equivalent of elementary school in the U.S. was Joel the Mole because I was so small. Don't you? Oh my goodness me, Andre! You knew that was gonna happen.
So you do realize that your nickname at Flight Fest is now going to be Joel the Mole.
Yes,
Which is totally fine, or Moley if you prefer, Moley.
Why am I thinking? What is it? Austin Power?
Yes.
Austin Power.
Money.
Well, why would you do this to yourself?
Because I am one of those who is a glutton for punishment. Okay.
Joel's a talker, and sometimes
No. Joel is just being a good Brit.
Yes, absolutely. Look, I tease all of you Yankee bastards as much as I do. So it's about time.
You got your butt kicked 200 years ago.
Hey, we didn't lose. You just cheated, okay? Hiding in the trees does not count as fair warfare, okay? You stand like real gentlemen in the middle of a field, pointing guns at each other, and then you shoot. Hiding in the trees is distinctly, look at me, is distinctly cheating.
Well, I'm going to tell you something right now, Joel. If you stand there like a gentleman and get shot, that's your fault.
Did you guys see Ben Greenwald's comment here?
No, hang on.
That's a
No,
good one.
what did he say?
Tell Joel he's still small enough that Asp and him are going to start a midget tossing contest.
Ben leaves me alone.
Oh my!
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, that's
On that
wonderful.
note, how long have we been rolling now?
You know, I think finally, after 2 hours and 15 minutes, we have a show name. Midget tossing.
Midget tossing.
So I'm approaching
Ben,
5
you're on.
hours of podcasting today.
I can see the lawsuit now, Joel.
No, they can't give us a lawsuit because we're not getting paid for any of this.
Exactly. But on top of that, there's a little thing called, and this is one thing you Americans are good for, the freedom of speech.
That's right.
Piss off.
You know what? Sod off, you bloody Yank.
You know,
Andre, help me out here. You're supposed to be on my side.
Well, he's just going to say that you drive a Mazda and you color with pencil crayons. That's all he's going to say.
This is bad when I'm the one saying we need to focus here.
This is
Car
so
crash, right?
Well, I do want to say one thing though, guys. You know, we're having a lot of fun and making fun of each other and all that. But you know, we do really want to be safe at Flight Fest. I know that we will have another podcast specifically for
different stuff.
I mean,
Flight test preparedness.
Yeah, I mean, we really want to do that, and we want to make sure that everybody knows. But you know, I think we're going to have to wait till it gets a little bit closer, so Andre can actually give us some of the official rules and things of that nature.
Yep.
Because something we haven't even talked about yet is I know some of the people know Fred Provost will not be in charge of volunteering this year. He has passed the baton on to Andre Rousseau, and we're proud of Andre. Sad that Fred's not going to be there, but we are proud of Andre for
Look,
taking him on.
I still don't think Fred can stay away.
Well, that's neither here nor there, but
To be determined.
yeah.
Yes, exactly. And the thing is that you know, we're all here because we want to make this event as fantastic and as great as it possibly can be. Mike, I couldn't have said it better myself. What a great way to kind of start wrapping this puppy up.
Yeah.
You know, as
So there was one.
you know, I'm gonna go
Somebody
ahead
take that
and
away
boot you out of this chat here in a second, Ryan.
No, Ben had. Was it Ben? Yeah, it was Ben that asked if I was in charge of the build series stuff. I am not. I don't know that anyone actually is. I think the
I
way
believe
that
Austin is.
Yeah, I think that Austin is managing the people who are taking care of their own build sessions, and each person that is coordinating their session, they are ultimately responsible for it. You know, I have created a forum thread in the forum about the build series to ask questions there. That is a specific place that I know that Austin does not often, but periodically monitor if there is going to be a question. And I have a direct contact with him so that I can ask him those sorts of specifics. That being said, all the sessions for Saturday are sold out according to the website.
Nice.
So,
On that note,
Congratulations.
And I do want to say something, guys. The reason why Ben is asking is because we had gotten in contact with Austin and asked about the Flight Test Community Cast build night. And
Right.
I know he's asking about that specifically because we are looking to have a guest builder there and all that kind of thing. And I know that Austin did talk about with a few tweaks, it would be great to have us there and do that. And for whatever reason, I know Austin's busy and all that kind of thing, but he hasn't heard anything. And I don't really know how to get a hold of Austin other than to, hey, Austin.
Yep.
How about talking to Ben a little bit so we can find out what's going on, buddy? So anyway, that's going to be the best I can do right now, Ben.
yeah.
We would really like to be a part of it, but if it doesn't work out, we do understand. But boy, we'd sure like to be a part of it just for the fun, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
So anything you can do, Austin Fury, if you're listening at any point, kind of
Especially
get
at this
within
point.
Greenwald.
I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's going to be a great year.
It's fantastic.
Just to see everybody again. But you know, we're taking all these lessons learned. Every year has been just phenomenal, and the improvements last year over the first were again significant. So
Except for the rain.
well, that's
Yep. I mean,
Andre.
weather is the only factor that you cannot.
on topic, Andre.
Yes, sir.
The build tent with these specialties are going to be held. There have to be some volunteers there to keep people away from the tables, the chairs, everything. So kids to keep the area clear for the build-offs, or what you can call it.
I think the build series tents are going to be separate. I think that's why we have three. It's late.
Yeah,
How late is it, Andre?
I understand, and you understand.
Is it
that
like
people
3
will
a.m.
fill them up.
Canadian time?
People will fill up if they're not people take care of it.
I think I've got 8 build tent people per shift.
Per session.
Yeah.
So
Like
that's-
last year when Nick was holding that community build of that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it the MiG 3 that he was doing?
Yeah, I think so. I actually had to go in and clear for complete tables and just move people away for him to actually have space.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what the third build tent is really supposed to be for, is for these kind of community things where, you know, it's not just because we completely filled up 2 huge build tents with people building the whole.
And we will fill up 3 of them if people are not.
I think that
keep
tent
clear.
will probably be. I'm wondering if they'll do a manage where they'll rope it off or whatever. So.
Yeah.
And then I know, our electrician god, Patrick Hines. I think I got his last name right. He is he's on tap, so he'll be there.
That guy was the man last year.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
and
he
all
was
these-
the man.
And we learned a couple lessons about how to wire up everything. So
Yes, we
that'll be
did.
all-
Yes, we did.
So yes. So there we
Okay.
go.
Well, I think on that note, we should probably start wrapping up, guys.
Yeah.
I really appreciate, of course, Andre, Joshua, Ryan, Asbjorn. Thank you guys for showing up and being part of it. And again, here the Flight Test Community Cast thought we was going to get Andre and Fred on at the same time. Did it happen? No.
It's
No.
a curse. It's a curse.
It's the galaxies cannot. The two of us can together. You saw that photo from Flight Fest. That's just danger, right?
I'm surprised that camera didn't break.
You guys are like the yin and the yang of each other.
Yes, absolutely. But
So, guys, just thanks for letting me be a part of it.
of course,
Always.
Bjorn. Anytime you want to come on, brother, you just say the word. We'll put you right in.
Just to look at that picture.
That's right.
Nothing else.
And for the people that don't get to see this and only get to hear it, there's no way to describe this picture.
As I may just take it off of your Google Plus page and make it the icon for this episode.
Do it.
No problem.
Yeah.
Well,
I
yeah,
think that's
absolutely.
very doable. That's very
Yes.
doable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So again, Joshua,
Yeah.
Andre, Asbjorn, Ryan, thanks for coming on. Joel, Patrick, I love you guys, and I love all you guys. I really do. I can't wait for July to get here to see all you guys, and I hope you feel the same about me.
Can't
Maybe
come
not so
soon.
much, but
Yep. And for me, this will be my very first Flight Fest. It will be my first time actually meeting all of you guys in person.
Yep.
I know you've spoken to me for what feels like donkey's years already. I know I've been
I'm
a
not
royal
sure what
pain
donkey
to
yours
all
is.
of you. I know I've been a royal pain for most of it, but
Only part of
you
it.
get to meet my wonderful self and enjoy my company for a good while. But it's
Yeah.
okay. I'll come with beverage to keep you entertained.
Absolutely.
So with that being said, I'm super excited. I really can't wait to do the full-fledged flight test episode, the flight fest preparedness episode. I have a whole
Yes.
notebook of stuff to go through for that one.
Yeah. We've got a couple of episodes specifically for Flight Fest that we need to do. Of course, once we get the final rules from Andre and the rest of Flight Test, then we can do that, and then we'll also do the preparedness, what planes we bring in, what tools do you want to
You're
bring,
bringing
all that
too
kind of
many.
stuff. Well,
Crazy.
that's okay. Better too many than not enough. So
I know for a fact Pat's going to yell at me with the number I'm bringing.
that's okay. But we want to thank everyone for listening and following us, and we can't wait to meet everybody else that listens to our podcast out at Flight Fest. God, that's hard to say, isn't it?
We'll have
Words are complicated.
shirts. We'll have shirts, guys.
Yes, we will. And matter of fact, they're being printed right now.
Ooh.
Wow, me and the After Hour guys, we're not even that organized.
See, well, here's the difference. I know printers because I'm in the ink industry. So
Yeah.
and all the shirts that we're getting is specifically for guest hosts and the hosts, and then of course the After Hours guys, and then a few of the special people that we want to give them to. But there's not going to be a lot. I've only
Sweet.
ordered 50.
Yeah.
But it's right
Only
now it's
50.
going to be this. Well, yeah. But if people really, really want them, we may do another order. If they decide they won't want to buy them, we may do that. But it's not going to be for the money thing. It's going to be just because.
Yep.
You know,
Exactly.
so-
And it will any funds collected will go directly into the podcast hosting
Yes,
only.
taking care of hosting and whatever else. Because
Yep. That's it. Honestly, that's the only expense that this podcast has. Thank goodness. But
God knows we don't have any production expenses.
None.
you're welcome. And on that bombshell, as the great Jeremy Clarkson would say, good night.
Yeah.
Good night,
Bye.
guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
No problem.
All right.